to the Awesemo.com NBA Deeper Dive presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. I'm Dave Loughran at Laffy_D, Loughy_D. Adam Scherer will be here in a minute. Not sure of his whereabouts, but we thought the show went so well yesterday that we sent him on an expedition to do exactly what happened to try and recreate the magic. I'm kidding. Adam Scherer, Chip My Money DFS. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst idea. Yesterday was instant classic.
Yeah. Gotta keep those few and far between though.
You gotta admit that video I clipped was gold.
Yeah, it was good.
And then I'm assuming you went back out and watched it again later at night.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I ate too much. You know, like for some reason when you work from home, sometimes you won't eat it all for like till 1 o'clock. I'm sure you do that once in a while, right? Like I'll eat breakfast once in a while, but sometimes I just won't eat till the afternoon.
Yeah, I'll just forget to eat.
Right. But then once I do, I'm gluttonous. And then afterwards, I just want to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So I got coffee here, but I had I went out to lunch today with my wife and daughter, and I had a really, really awful experience, man. It was something that shocked me. You want to hear what happened to me today?
Yeah, what happened at lunch?
All right. So I don't care who you are. If this happens to you and you say it doesn't bother you, you're a sociopath. So I take a bite. I got a honey sriracha chicken sandwich. Delicious. I like this place. I really do. And they were very kind after everything happened. And I take a bite and I look down and I see, like, you know how like out of your peripheral, sometimes you'll see a hair on you or something.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know what I mean? Usually it's my wife's hair. It's like, all right, gross, but I can deal with it. So I look down and I see it. I think it's on my sweatshirt. I go to grab it. I'm like, all right, I go to take another bite and it's still there. And I noticed like there's a foot-long hair hanging from my mouth. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Well, it gets worse. So now I'm gagging because the whole hair at restaurant thing, particularly long black hairs, is a painful experience, right? Like it's horrible. So I go to grab it and pull it out of my mouth. And because I had taken the bite, it got wedged in between my molars. So now I'm pulling and nothing's coming out. And my fear is that if I pull, it's going to snap off and still be stuck somewhere in my teeth.
Right.
So now I'm just, it's horrible. As this is happening, the waitress comes up and goes, "How is everything?" So, boy, it was probably 18 inches long, dude. 18-inch long hair that just kept, like, you know those magicians that just like...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of the whole time as you're telling the story. It was just like the like colorful scarf or whatever that like never ends.
Dude, it wouldn't stop. Traumatizing would be the word. Absolutely traumatizing. If that's ever happened to you, like usually it's small, no big deal, right? And I'm thinking, how did I miss this? But you're at least 18, 19 inches, Adam, like food still attached to it, wedged in there, trying to pull it out. Really awful experience.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
And then afterwards, they brought one out real quick, but afterwards, every bite you take, you can only think about one thing.
Right. I feel like you're still like tasting it, even though it's not there.
Oh, yeah. And then for 2 hours after that, I'm going like this to make sure it's not still wedged up in my tooth. So here we are. Awful. I'm telling you, if any of you have ever been through that, you understand how traumatized you are after an experience like that. But she's like, "How is it?" I was like, "I just pulled a 2-foot hair out of my mouth." And then they sit there like they're in disbelief, like I'm a liar, you know?
Right.
Like, no, you didn't. You just want me to comp your sandwich.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, horrible experience. The food was delicious though, and I finished everything, and now I want to die. But anyway, happy to have you guys with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. We got like 600 people watching. At least pop this up over 150. We're at 80 likes. I think that is very possible. Nelson said Laffy's descriptive recollection of what happened is traumatizing. Got to be honest with you, man. I need. They say misery loves company. I need you guys to recreate that experience with me and relive the traumatization that I experienced earlier. Anyway, hit that thumbs up. Let's get the 150 out of the gate. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. If you hate it, we'll gladly refund your misery. Just unsubscribe. But after yesterday, Adam, how could anyone want to unsubscribe to this channel?
Yeah, no idea. Whose mic is messed up?
I don't know. Me?
I don't know. People just keep saying Mike.
All right. How's that?
I don't notice it. It sounded fine to me.
I know. Good? All right. Sometimes not good. All right. Hold on.
Oh, he told me to talk and walked away. All right, that should go well. Yeah, so my mic sounds good. It's lofty, right? Okay, so my mic sounds good. So because I know he's going to ask me, I'll just answer the question now. As far as the overview for the slate, I think it's a pretty wide open slate. There's a lot of guys to pay up for. There's a little bit of value. It's not great. Really strong mid-range. Still a bunch of news we're waiting on. And now he's back.
All right. Thank you. You just did my job for me. We better? Okay. Let's do this. All right. We got 11 games. OKC, Charlotte. Let's just kick this off. Let me actually ask you a serious question here. How many games on this slate are teams? I'm not asking for like a specific number, but maybe a rough percentage are teams that for 11 games we're just not really looking at.
Most of them? Like,
really?
Well, I think for most teams, there's like one or two guys that look pretty good and that you can make like a strong case for. And then the rest is just like, they don't really exist.
Okay. Yeah, you've got Memphis. You've got a few teams with pretty significant spots of guys that are absent that we're going to jump into.
Yeah, you got Memphis. You got Utah. There's stuff to talk about on Brooklyn.
Especially if Gobert is out.
Right, yeah.
Hassan Whiteside's already out.
Right. The Clippers have some moving pieces, but a lot of it is just relatively healthy teams where it's like, yeah, this guy's really good. He's a good play. Everyone else doesn't exist.
Yeah, each day when I do the run sheet, every day they do the run sheet, like I list out all the injuries. And for 11 games, I thought this was going to take me forever. It really didn't take long at all. So you're right. Let's kick it off with OKC. And on the other side of this one, at home, you've got the Charlotte Hornets, 224 total. They're 9-point favorites. But we'll start with the Thunder. I mean, it's rough when like Aaron Wiggins on an 11-game slate is pulling 16% ownership.
Yeah, that one's kind of weird to me. We haven't gotten an ownership update yet, so maybe that'll change when we get one. But it's kind of weird. Like you have Kenrich Williams available, or at least supposed to be available, not on the injury report. So assuming he's back, I'm not confident that you're getting that many minutes from Wiggins again. I think there's a good chance that you get like a 48-minute split between Wiggins and Bazley, in which case, like, sure, 24 minutes or even call it 26 minutes from Wiggins is fine at 3,500, but not really sure why he's getting as much ownership as he is.
Is there anybody else that you actually like for OKC today?
I like the main guys. I mean, Gilgeous-Alexander, Giddey, Dort. It's a really good matchup. The issue is that, Williams coming back, I think, does have an impact here because even though the guys like suck, there were enough people missing from OKC that you're just getting a little bit more run for, or at least you could feel a little bit better about the playing time for the main pieces. But even if you give Williams like 16 minutes, I think it makes it likely that, you're getting like 32 for Dort, 30 to 32 for Giddey, probably 35 or so for SGA. They all look like reasonable tournament options, but 11-game slate, I wouldn't say they really stand out.
All right. Flip it to Charlotte. And look, we have 11 games, so the whole idea here is to give you some good tournament plays, contrarian, under the radar options, but also not spend a ton of time talking about guys that there's just not a lot of interest in. When it comes to Charlotte, I mean, a lot of the pricing on Charlotte now that they're healthy, Adam, because this is a team that was banged up or had a ton of COVID-related absences for a long time. It feels like the pricing here for the most part has leveled out to the point where on an 11-game or even against OKC, they're not that popular.
Yeah, and I don't really think they should be, especially assuming that PJ Washington is able to play. He is listed as questionable right now. That news matters because I don't necessarily think that they would just throw Nick Richards in as the backup center. I think there's a decent chance that you would get, just kind of like with Oubre, you would just get a more condensed rotation when Oubre was out. Get a more condensed rotation, maybe more minutes for Bridges and Hayward. What did you say?
It sounded like you said more midgets.
Yeah, I got the two words mixed up. But if PJ Washington's in, I think it's a situation with Oubre back where these guys are priced for 38 minutes, and I think you can only really count on them playing 34, 35. The upside's still there though. I mean, Rozier played 41 minutes last game, so taking shots on them in tournaments is fine. But the only guy that really stands out to me from Charlotte is LaMelo at 8,600. I'm assuming he should play 32, 33 minutes. He's certainly disappointed me a lot this year, but he's about a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy. The matchup's good. And then the other spot that I'm interested in is PJ Washington at 3,800. He hasn't been playing a lot recently. He's just backing up Mason Plumlee. Plumlee's typically playing like 27, 28 minutes. But one thing that stands out is over those last 4 games where that's been the case, they were playing like legitimate front courts in all of them. Now you have OKC where it's kind of just like, who the hell cares? What's the purpose of Mason Plumlee being on the floor? And PJ Washington's at a price point where even if he only gets 18 to 20 minutes, he could still be fine. But if he happens to play 22 or 24 minutes, he ends up looking like a really good value at probably low ownership. So I do like him in tournaments, even though the floor is still pretty low.
Would that be your preferred option for this entire game?
LaMelo is the top guy for me in this game. And then I do like taking shots at PJ Washington.
All right, let's talk about the Lakers then on the road against a very bad Magic team. LeBron James once again with the injury designation, but we expect him to play. Unlike the last time you and I talked about a LeBron slate where he was really popular, gone up against, I believe it was the Utah Jazz. This one's a little bit different where he's got a good matchup, but a lot of competition in terms of high price players. You have Jokic on this slate. You have Harden. You have Giannis. We'll get into John Morant, who's in a phenomenal spot without Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks, and Kyle Anderson's also out. You got Steph Curry. We got to talk about him later against Houston because there's no Dre, there's no Klay Thompson, and now Andrew Wiggins is questionable, even though Curry hasn't exactly been electric. There are just and by the way, like we said yesterday, the whole Curry buy when there's blood in the streets, Curry ended up popping off. So it's just one of those things. There's a lot of high priced players. So LeBron, not really a priority today, at least not for me.
No, me neither. And I don't know why people are asking about LaMelo Ball. Yes, he's playing. No, he's not on the injury report. Yes, he would be starting. No idea what people are talking about. But
multiple
as far
people
as
or person,
it's like multiple people asking if, because somebody said RotoWire doesn't have LaMelo starting.
I've seen nothing on him.
Yeah, I've seen no news on him. Like, he was late scratch the other day when he was sick. Then he came back and he played. He's not on the injury report. I wouldn't worry about it. As far as LeBron goes, he looked really good. I mean, the matchup's good against Orlando. We know that he's produced at a really high level without Anthony Davis. But like you were saying, the issue is just that there are so many pay up options on this slate. And then also there's not a lot of really good cheap value, at least at the moment. And I mean, that's reflected in the fact that that Aaron Wiggins is currently projected for 16% ownership.
Exactly.
That should tell you how bad the value is right now. So LeBron, if you can get there, great. I think it's somewhat difficult, and I do think that there's a couple of pay up options ahead of him. Beyond that, I don't see a ton here. I think there's a good chance Dwight Howard plays more than the 13 minutes he played last game. You do have a big Orlando front court. You could see him get like 18 to 20 minutes. He's 3,500, so it doesn't stand out, but could work out for you. Malik Monk at 5,300 could work out. Westbrook's really cheap on FanDuel. His playing time's also been down, though, so even at the cheap price tag, you're still taking on somewhat of a risk. So I think LeBron clearly the top option. It's just a matter of still being somewhat difficult to get there, I think.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal spot. Don't get me wrong. And the Lakers just aren't a good enough team to assume blowouts anymore. They're only 5-point favorites here. So I do like him. And DraftKings did move him back to small forward, Adam, opposed to when he was center only eligible. So it's a little bit more appealing with the small forward eligibility, the position that's usually quite weak.
Yeah, the positional aspect is nice. He did lose point guard on DraftKings too.
I know, but I'd still rather have small forward than center.
Yeah, for sure. It makes it a lot easier than if you were at center.
All right. Anything else for the Lakers? You want to talk about the Magic here? Magic pretty popular today.
Yeah, it scares me how good I think Orlando looks.
All right. Well, your boy, Jalen Suggs. This is his time to shine, man. You got 224 total in this. Sorry, 218 total. So nothing particularly high, but he's 26% we've got him at right now. I don't think our ownership projections are free, but our player projections for NBA are free today if you want to check that out. Same with NHL player projections and MMA pro plays, all of that stuff available for free at awesemo.com. I think there's no better place to start than your boy Jalen Suggs at $4,800.
Yeah, agreed. Do want to pay attention to the Orlando starting lineup because Wendell Carter Jr. is probable to play. So if Carter is back in the starting lineup, most likely one of Suggs or Harris is going to the bench. But if Carter comes off the bench, then I assume it's going to be the same starting lineup. But either way, as long as Suggs is starting, I think you can count on him playing 30 plus minutes here. Lakers defense isn't very good. Suggs is still pretty cheap. He's going to shoot a lot. I think he looks like a very good, lower mid-range value option. Same can be said for Cole Anthony, 6,700. Should play 32 to 34 minutes. One positive is Orlando's been running a deeper rotation recently, but RJ Hampton is out tonight. So you're getting a more crowded front court, but I think it still means that you could get a little bit more run for Cole Anthony than we've seen recently. And that's coming, as his price tag drops. So him and Suggs both look really good to me. Franz Wagner at 5,300 looks fine. Mo Bamba at 5,400 looks fine. Certainly has a very, very high ceiling. But Anthony and Suggs are the two that really stand out.
Is Adam skipping? Is that on his end or is that on your end, Tyler? Your end? Okay. We'll get it fixed up. Sometimes things happen when you're doing all this shit remotely and you just have to deal with it. So we'll do what we can. As long as you can understand what he's saying. Look, I mean, I'm sure he's still clearer than he was last night. Franz Wagner. How about that Mo Bamba game the other day? Was that one of the most bizarre things you've ever seen, knocking down 7 threes in the first half against Philly?
7 threes in the first half, 45 fantasy points, and I think he finished the game with 47.5.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see the game. I was on my way to hockey, and then I had a hockey game. But my assumption, and I don't know if you watched any of it on one of your 5 TVs, is that they just weren't putting anyone out there beyond the arc, and then they started to in the second half.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wasn't watching it either.
It would make sense though, right? I mean, it's just strange that he's drained. What do you have, 30 points or 28 points in the first half, finished with 30 or something? Points. So yeah, it was a tale of two halves for sure. But are there any, lesser owned Orlando players in this game that you want to get to, or is it mostly the top 3 guys that we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly Suggs and Anthony. Wagner and Bamba look good as well. And then again, just make sure that Suggs is still in the starting lineup because we haven't gotten their lineup yet.
LA Clippers, Philadelphia 76ers. This is one you said is still in flux, right? We got some moving pieces here because Marcus Morris has been playing some big minutes. He's questionable with personal issue. We'll see what that happens to be. And then Nicholas Batum also playing pretty significant minutes himself. He is questionable as well in COVID-19 protocol. So, and of course he was placed in protocol 24 hours ago, Adam. So I don't know if this is a false positive or just too negative, whatever it is, he has a chance. Usually these situations end up where they ultimately don't play, but he's questionable along with Marcus Morris in Philadelphia. Clippers are 8.5-point dogs today in Philly.
Yeah, not a great spot for them, but that news on Batum and Morris does matter. If both of those guys are in, I'm not overly interested in anything on this team. Morris would be okay at 6,500, but there's plenty of better options. Batum, kind of the same thing at 5,300. Reggie Jackson at 6,100 would be okay, but there's probably better options. If Morris is out, though, you get a nice usage bump for Reggie Jackson. There's also a good chance he plays more minutes, especially if both of Morris and Batum are out. If they're both out, you certainly could see more playing time for Zubats as well. Not that this is a matchup where I would expect them to go small, but if they're not playing, then obviously they're not going small. So Zubats would look a little bit better. And then Terrence Mann at 4,500, not the best point per minute guy, but capable of playing 34, 35 minutes if both of Morris and Batum sit. So not an overly interesting team to me if those guys are in. But if they start to sit, I think Jackson Jackson starts to look better. Zubats starts to look a little bit better, and Mann looks a little bit better.
It is amazing to see the aggregate ownership on this team, Adam, with Marcus Morris and Nicholas Batum in. They're literally almost entirely unowned.
Yeah, and for the most part, they should be. Like, if you get to a little bit of Morris, a little bit of Jackson, a little bit of Zubac, I think that's fine. But I don't think you should be getting to much of them at all if those guys are in. And then one other piece to mention that is risky, but if Batum and Morris were to sit, you could conceivably get like 24 minutes from Brandon Boston at 3K flat.
Okay. Yeah. The highest optimal percentage in our boom bust tool on this team is 4%. Marcus Morris. So it's not good if they're active. Let me just recap real quick, because this could play a significant role if these two guys sit. Just one more time for anyone that missed, your favorite options if Marcus Morris or Nicholas Batum or both are out.
Reggie Jackson is my favorite. Zubats, man, look better. You can take shots on a cheap Ibaka or Boston as well.
Would anyone become would Jackson become, since it's such a large slate, a priority or just a solid option? Just
a solid option. Like I still think if you're just talking in terms of, cash or where should you go first, if you're just ignoring ownership, I still think you're looking at the Utah game, looking at Conley, looking at Clarkson. I still would rather go to Cole Anthony for $600 more, but it does make Jackson look better. And if there's an ownership gap between him and the Utah guys, he starts to look pretty appealing in tournaments.
Okay. You and I talked a lot about the MVP props yesterday, and they've shifted quite a bit. Embiid went from 8-1 to 6-1 since we spoke just yesterday. Pretty interesting stuff. Curry's still at plus 180, but does Joel Embiid end up becoming another, to use your term, casualty of the slate today? I mean, look, he's been exceptionally good. He had 50 points in 27, not 50 fantasy points, 50 points in 27 minutes last game. Just one of the most absurd performances you're going to see in 27 minutes, 77 DraftKings points. And he's been carrying this team essentially by himself at this point. Is there any interest in getting to a 6% Joel Embiid today, or do we just have way too many good options? Which side are you coming in on here?
No, I mean, there's definitely interest there. He's not going to be that popular. He's playing out of his mind, like you said. He's got another reasonable matchup here against the Clippers, so I like getting there. And the salary actually came down a little bit as well to 11K, so I like getting there. The issue is just that, as usual, there's a bunch of high upside mid-range centers too. So if Embiid goes and gets you like 55 DraftKings points, you're not upset about it, but it's probably not really helping you win. But there's not that many guys on the slate that have 70 fantasy point upside, and Embiid clearly does.
Yeah, he certainly does. And if it's competitive, he's going to get the minutes. But aside from Embiid, this team's just been tough to get to. The one guy we'll throw out there just as a question for you, even though Joel Embiid just operating with immense usage, is Tobias Harris. Not because I like this guy, but matter of fact, from a fantasy standpoint, he's routinely disappointing. But his salary has come down from someone who is, usually high 7K, low 8K player down to, sub 7K today as 8.5 point favorites against the team that has been down their best wing defender all year. And now they're down Paul George again. Like, is there, not to say he's a wing, but you'd have had one of these guys on Tobias Harris tonight. Is there any interest in getting some sprinkles of Tobias Harris now that his price is down?
Yeah, at 6,900, I think that's fine. Even over the last month where Embiid has just been carrying the team, like you said, Embiid, has a 40% usage rate over the last month and has averaged 1.7 DraftKings points per minute. Even over that time, Harris has averaged 1 DraftKings point per minute with a 22.5% usage rate. He's likely to play 35, 36 minutes. He just still looks like a solid fantasy option, even, with his struggles in mind.
Okay. Tyler, so hold on. We got Chris setting up. We don't need to drop the stream when we make this correct? Okay. All right. So what, you just have connection issues over there? It's all good. It's cool. It happens. I just want to make sure I know what's going on here. Okay. So Chris is jumping in. You're jumping out. Stream continues. Okay. Good to go. Anything else you want to get to for Philly? I know, look, you have some, like, Shake Milton's out again. That's kind of whatever. You have Seth Curry questionable. Matisse Thybulle remains out. Danny Green is out. Are any of these pieces enough for us to jump on any of the peripheral guys?
So regardless of Curry's status, I'm interested in Tyrese Maxey as just another kind of like Reggie Jackson type play where I think there's better options at his price point, but He does still look like a pretty good play. He's likely to play a lot of minutes. We've seen Doc Rivers not be afraid to give Maxey a ton of playing time when guys are out this year. And then if you take Curry out, those minutes become even more secure. But that would also open the door for Korkmaz to most likely play a lot of minutes and become one of the more popular values at 4,100. So I think the Curry news does make a pretty big difference.
Okay. So we'll pay attention to that. Anything else you want to move on to Portland, Boston?
That's it.
All right. First, let me say hello to our sponsor, Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. We're actually not making bad time today. I think we might do it. I think we might make this happen.
Yeah, I talk faster. I'm back to talking fast, I should say.
If you haven't checked out Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports, Tyler, before you go, make sure to drop that link for Yahoo into chat, or you can use link in the description. I know you're a pro. Or the link in the description if you want to sign up. You get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. It's every single thing we have on the site, every tool, all of which created by our boy Awesemo himself, Alex Baker. Fellows won millions of dollars using these tools, so we must be doing something right. If you haven't done so yet, though, it's our ownership tools, our player projections, our top stack tool, our you name it, right? Boom bust tool, lineup builder. You can get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on if you want, but all of that outside of Fantasy Cruncher, all of that entirely free, $90 value just by signing up at Yahoo using the link in the description. They'll also give you $10 in free credit when you sign up, which is pretty cool as well. Get you kickstarted after you deposit, of course. And well, they got some great contests as well. $50,000 everybody wins Friday Night Baller tonight. $5,000 Awesemo exclusive, which is $1K up top. And then the NFL contests are huge this week. $500K on Sunday, $250 on Saturday. Not to mention that you're not going to find better payout structures anywhere else. I promise you that. If you can, let me know because I'd like to play there. But yeah, insane payouts. You're at least doubling up if you min cash. They're paying out 20+% of the field everywhere. The management fees, some may call it rake, lower than anywhere you're going to find. A lot of them negative management fees. So yeah, I mean, it's not just getting the free month of Awesemo, but it's when you do, you're going over and playing at a site where the payouts are great and the contests just continue to get bigger. So check it out, Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. And if you want to expedite the process after you do it, you want to get immediate access, you email us at support@awesemo.com. We'll do our best to make that happen for you. So check it out. It is Yahoo Daily Fantasy, sponsor of the Deeper Dive. All right, Portland and Boston.
PJ Washington in for Charlotte.
Sorry, what's up?
PJ Washington is in for Charlotte.
Okay, good. Tyler, unmute your mic. Tell me what's going on here. Unmute your mic. Or don't. It's fine. All right. I want chat to hear you. I want everybody to hear you. Yes, I want everyone to know what's going on here. Because Chris is telling me I got to jump into another Zoom room.
Now chat can hear me. Okay. Oh, I can hear myself. This is weird. So y'all are going to hop into Chris's Zoom room. And then after y'all hop into Chris's Zoom room, this is so weird. I can hear myself. After y'all hop into Chris's Zoom room,
wait till
no one has to YouTube chat. Y'all stay there. Y'all stay there, YouTube. Okay. And then Adam and Laffy will disappear and then reappear. Right. Stream's fine.
Glad this didn't happen yesterday. I would not be able to handle it.
Yeah.
You just would have gone back to the bar.
Yeah.
I'm done, thank
guys.
you, Tyler. I need people to know what's going on. That's all. All right. Let me get
sounds great.
Let me get through one more game because I'm still kind of confused on this. I'll have Chris DM me to let me know what's going on. Portland and Boston. Adam, Norman Powell's out. Larry Nance is still out. Nas Little is questionable. Dennis Smith Jr. probable. Cody Zeller out. So a lot of names, not all important names, but they head into Boston for this one as 8-point dogs, low total, 212 here. Not exactly the greatest matchup on paper either.
So we just got the Magic starting lineup too. Same starting lineup as last game. Wendell Carter Jr. coming off the bench. We are on Portland, right?
Yeah, I was saying a decent amount of names questionable are out, but not all of them are super notable.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a ton, at least that we're waiting on now, that matters. Like Nas Little is questionable, but if he sits, I think it's likely that you're just getting more playing time for Ben McLemore, for Tony Snell, guys that aren't really going to matter from a DFS standpoint. I think from a DFS standpoint, it's basically Nurkic and McCollum for me. McCollum's interesting because his salary is slowly dropping a little bit. He hasn't been heavily restricted since coming back. He's played 28 and then like 32 and a half minutes. It wouldn't shock me if he just picked up a few more minutes and got up to 35, 36 tonight. And we know he produces at a high rate without Damian Lillard. He's at about 1.15 DraftKings points per minute. So it is kind of an interesting spot just from an upside standpoint, assuming he's not going to get much ownership. And then the same can be said for Nurkic. He only played about 27 minutes last game, but typically you're getting 32 to 34 from him. We know that he's a very, very good, high upside fantasy producer. So neither of them look like priorities, but I do think that they're both, just solid tournament plays.
Okay, we had a super chat too. Zuit, on a slate this size with relatively flat ownership, about how large, this is a good question, and I know you might not know yet, I don't know if you crunch, but about how large is your player pool going to be if you're running like 50 to 100 lineups, Adam? Just say
I have no idea. Like I don't like. I can't even. You're not trying
to limit it. You don't go into it with any preconceived like I want my player pool to look like that.
Right. Yeah. Like, and I couldn't even like give you an idea because I don't think I've ever even looked to see like the answer. So like I have no.
Well, I think that answers the question though, right? Like it's.
Yeah. But I'm saying but like I couldn't even like throw out a ballpark because I have honestly no idea.
Donald Leaper's heading over to Run Pure because these motherfuckers can't get their shit straight. So
enjoy.
See you, pal. I like those guys though, honestly. But yeah, things happen, buddy. Would you rather us work it out here or just cut the stream? I don't know what you want from us. You should have been here yesterday. You would have already been over there. All right. So with the rest of Portland, like as of now, do you have a single player that you have any real interest in, assuming Nas Little plays and everybody else that's questionable is in?
No, just, mixing in some Nurkic and some McCollum. But I mean, I think that as much as I like both of those guys, it's still a pretty tough matchup against Boston. You have one of the lowest implied totals for Portland, and you can just start naming a bunch of guys at their respective positions or price tags that just look a little bit better.
Okay. And by the way, I love Tyler. You guys take these things too seriously. Okay. Not you, Tyler. You don't. You're great. You guys are great. But everyone thinks I'm like this terrible. I mean, I'm not the greatest person, but to act like I'm over here just doing awful things. Marcus Smart, questionable for the Boston Celtics. That's really it. Just dealing with conditioning, Adam. He hasn't played in 11 days now. So we'll see how that shapes up. But Boston, another team right now, and we have Marcus Smart. I don't know. Do we have? I can pull up projections. Ownership has him at 0.1. Do we have him projected in or out? I wasn't sure if the 0.1 is just because he's an awful play or because
we have him projected for. We have him projected for 28 minutes, but
okay.
Sometimes there's like, especially early in the day, there's like kind of a discrepancy. I don't know what the right word is between like with questionable players. It's like they won't get any ownership, but then we also have them projected in. Yeah, it sorts itself out by lock, but that's probably what's going on.
I think so too. I mean, if he's in, is there anything you want from Boston?
Really, regardless of Smart, I think that they kind of all look I feel the same way about most of the Boston starters as I do about McCollum and Nurkic on the other side. Jason Tatum made my tournament plays video for both DraftKings and FanDuel, not because I think he's super likely to succeed or anything, but it is a good matchup against Portland. We know he's really talented and certainly can just take over a game, and he's getting next to no ownership. You can make the same case for Jaylen Brown. Robert Williams should be back and just looks like another decent center option. Horford, probably plays 27 minutes or so. He's 5,700, so just kind of priced where he should be. No issues with any of those guys, but also not building around them.
All right. So this game essentially is one that, as it stands right now, is just kind of a wash.
Yeah, it's just sort of mix in some Tatum, some Brown, some McCollum, some Nurkic here and there, Williams. But I don't expect to have really high exposures to any of these guys.
All right, let's get to an interesting game. And we just talked, by the way, with our projections, you can you could see the minutes projected and a bunch of other stuff. It's not just points. They're free today. That's why I mentioned it. If you wanted to follow along with some of that stuff. Miami's an interesting team to me, Adam, because you've got no Tyler Hero. You have no Kyle Lowry, but you're not really, and a lot of this just based on pricing and how big the slate is, you're not really seeing Gabe Vincent on another slate might be 50% owned, right? Like if we were talking yesterday, Gabe Vincent might be one of the chalkiest players on the slate, but him at 4,800, PJ Tucker at 3,800, they're both around 12% today. And Max Strus is like 9% and played 30 plus minutes off the bench last game with those two guards sideline.
Yeah, it's just, I think more guys that are pretty much priced where they should be. Vincent's likely to give you 34 minutes or so. Strus should get around 30, most likely. PJ Tucker probably plays around 30 and is 3,800. But there's also some volatility with their playing time because basically you're going to have Butler close as long as he doesn't get ejected. Bam is going to close, and then you're going to get 3 of Vincent, Strus, Tucker, Martin, and Duncan Robinson. So kind of whoever's playing the best, most likely. So I don't really want more than probably 2 of those guys, especially on a slate this big. But they all just sort of look like reasonable values. I did mention Duncan Robinson on, I think, my DraftKings tournament video, just because he is 3,700. He still only played 24 minutes last game, but if he's shooting well, the minutes are there for him. And that's always kind of nice in tournaments where if Duncan Robinson's not making his threes, you don't really care that he's only playing 24 minutes because he's useless to your team anyway if he's not making his shots. But if he is making his shots, he can just pick up an extra 6 minutes and be a good low-owned value. So I do have some interest there.
All right. I mean, right now, I guess we could go to Atlanta unless you want to get to anybody else. Did you talk about Bam? Sorry, I was trying to work on this switch.
No, I didn't talk about the.
Let's talk about Bam a little bit. 7,500 seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, 7,500 looks good. He's one of, I think, the better mid-range center options. Like we mentioned Nurkic, we mentioned Williams being just like solid plays. I think Bam looks better than both of those guys. You can expect around 32, 33 minutes from him. In the game he's played with Butler this year, he has about a 26% usage rate. He's got a 22.5% assist percentage without Kyle Lowry or Tyler Hero on the floor. So that's a nice bump for him. And then he rebounds well. Not a bad matchup against Atlanta. He looks like the top guy for me from Miami, and I think one of the better center options tonight.
How about on the Atlanta side? We're still waiting on a couple of things. Actually, pretty significant stuff here because Clint Capella, who hasn't played since the 7th, went through shoot-around, game-time decision. If I had to guess, Adam, I'd say he plays today. I don't know what his minutes look like. Bogdanović is out, and then you've got Danilo Gallinari, who is also questionable coming into this one with a sore Achilles. So him and Capella, both game-time decisions. What does this team look like tonight if Capella returns to the court?
So if Capella plays, I expect that Okongwu goes back to being the backup center. And that neither of them really look very appealing in tournaments. The Capella news is huge because if he's out, you can go right back to Okongwu at 5,400 and he'll look like a solid value at that price. But if Capella's in, I just don't really think you can get to either one of them. And it probably also cuts into Gallinari's minutes if he's even able to play.
Is anybody to your liking today? DeAndre, can I interest you in any DeAndre Hunter?
I don't hate it. Like, he's going to play a lot of minutes probably, but at 4,800, like I don't think there's a massive ceiling there or anything either. If Gallinari's out, maybe you get a little bit more run for Hunter, but yeah, I don't really like anything that much if Capella's in. Obviously, you can get the Trae Young and John Collins whenever you want, but if Capella's out, this team looks a lot better because there's more minutes available. Also, if Gallinari's out, you're probably just getting a little bit more run for Hunter, Herter. So they would look a little bit better, but not a particularly appealing matchup either.
All right. Hey, thank you. Over 300 likes. Appreciate you guys doing big things here. 306. We got 1,800 plus people watching on a Friday night headed into the weekend. You doing anything tonight?
Me? No.
Yeah.
Going to New York tomorrow, so taking it easy.
Oh, yeah. You see like a Broadway show?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you seeing?
I couldn't name a Broadway show if I had to.
Hamilton, right? That's one, isn't it?
Oklahoma.
Like, you said that with pride. Josh said we got to go to Raleigh and see Shane Gillis is what we got to do. He said, I'll pick you up on the way and then we'll go down and see Gillis in Raleigh, North Carolina. Stay with Josh.
Yeah, that works.
All right. You're not coming then. I want enthusiasm out of you. It's not till April. All right. Toronto and Washington. Let's dive into this one a little bit, right? You've got Toronto on the road. We're still waiting on Gary Trent Jr. You've been questionable for like the last week and a half, it feels like. Only 1-point dogs, 217.5 total. Is there anybody at the top for Toronto? Let's start there, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty a little bit here. But speaking of someone like Fred VanVleet, who seems relatively appealing today, Siakam, but VanVleet does seem like a decent play against this Washington team. What are you doing there?
I absolutely love VanVleet. I don't know why his salary is falling. He's playing like 40-plus minutes every night. Even if Gary Trent comes back, you probably are getting 38 to 40 minutes from VanVleet. We had talked about him a lot when he was up, mid 9K range or 10K, where there's so much volatility in his game that I didn't mind getting to him at those prices as long as he was low owned. Now you're getting to a point where he projects well and then still gives you all of that extra upside. So I really, really like getting to VanVleet here.
Okay. I missed someone's super chat. Bill W. Let me find. There you go, Bill. Founder of Alcoholics Anonymous in the house. Poole and Bam or Morant and Howard if he starts. Poole and Bam or Morant and Howard.
I think Poole and Bam. Like the Morant Howard one is fine. I love Morant, but you just get so much upside from the Poole and Bam one.
Okay. Thanks for the super chat, Bill. Where do we leave off?
Fred VanVleet looks great.
Fred VanVleet, yeah. Do you want to get to any Siakam, any OG Anunoby?
Yeah, I mean, Siakam, I don't have any issues there. He's playing a ton of minutes as well. The problem is just that on DraftKings, he's center only, and he's more expensive than Nurk. He's more expensive than Bam. So that makes it tough. But as far as the wings go, if Gary Trent is in, I still expect that you're getting 34 to 36 minutes from Barnes and Anunoby, which makes them look reasonable. If Trent is out, we've seen this play out several games in a row now, where you can expect 38 to 40 minutes potentially from Barnes, from Anunoby. Boucher probably plays mid-30s. He once again, last game he played almost 34 minutes. Precious Achiuwa would start again. He would play low to mid-30s most likely. So even though it's weird since they play different positions, basically Siakam, VanVleet, Barnes, Anunoby look good one way or another, VanVleet being the preferred option, regardless of Gary Trent's status. They just look a little bit better if Trent's out because there's more minutes. But it's Chris Boucher and Precious Achiuwa that go from really borderline plays that I probably won't get to legitimately good options if Trent sits.
Bill W. from the top ropes. He said, shit, my money can call me anytime. He heard about yesterday's show and just pops up out of the blue.
Right.
Now, I've seen that name in here before because I think I've made the exact same reference, but that was solid, Bill. Nice work.
Marcus Smart and Aaron Naismith are both out.
They're both out. Do you want to revisit that for a second or?
Not really. I mean, I think just kind of opens up, like you're going to get Schroeder starting again. He's 6,700. He's going to play a lot of minutes. I still think at the same price, I would rather go to Cole Anthony, but you certainly can play some Schroeder. It's a good matchup.
Okay. How about your boys, the Wizards? They've actually been watchable this year, Adam.
Yeah, they were watchable at the beginning of the year. Now they kind of suck.
Yeah, I guess they were watchable last year. Didn't they win the play-in round? And they did because they
got knocked out by Philly.
Yeah, 4-1. That's right.
But yeah, they were really fun last year because they played really fast. They had Westbrook.
Yeah. There was a time where they went on like a 10-game win streak after losing a ton of games in a row too.
Yeah, at the end of the season they got really hot.
It's so crazy how many of these teams are just completely unowned. Like, I don't even want to use the phrase under the radar because a lot of them are just hard to get to. Like Beal, this is crazy, right? Beal is 8,700, which we're talking about a guy who was north of 10K for a long time. You have to scroll pretty far to even find the name, Adam. And he's still just completely overlooked on a slate like this.
Yeah. Washington, I think, is one of the most unappealing teams tonight because this is the first time all year they've played like 2 games now where they've had all their rotation players healthy, and it's just an absolute mess. They're running like 11-man rotations. Last game, Howell Neto didn't play. The game before that, Denny Avdia didn't play. I don't know if Kispert doesn't play tonight and Neto comes back or what they do, but basically you can still get 36 minutes or so from Beal. But Kuzma's back to playing like 32 minutes. He's at an elevated price tag. So not only does he probably regress in terms of rebounding and usage with the team healthy, but he's playing fewer minutes. Gafford's playing like 12 minutes a night. Harrell, you could make a case for. He's likely to play 22 to 24 minutes, and he's relatively inexpensive, but still doesn't stand out. Thomas Bryant, Rui not playing enough for me to really want to get to them, even though they're super cheap. I just have essentially nothing from Washington.
Okay. Well, then we'll keep this. I told you, we're making great time today. We're about to get into some of the interesting ones, and I'm going to pay attention to any news that breaks here. I just keep getting alerts, and they're all just about that Giants hiring the new GM, like it's going to make any difference.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. At this rate, things don't look very good. But Chicago, 10.5-point dogs. Adam, they're going through some difficulties right now too, right? You lose Zach LaVine. Now you lose Lonzo Ball. Both of them sidelined. Lonzo going to be out a little while here. LaVine out at least the next couple of games. 227.5 total though. So high projected total in this one. And we already got a game without them. Is Nikola Vucevic or DeMar DeRozan at their price points? Because that's important, obviously. Like, are they enough of a beneficiary here at their salaries to get to? And is there any value that opens up enough for us to say, you know what, these guys being out, there's still some good quality talent here that we can target tonight that gets decent minutes?
I think it's a team just full of guys that I wouldn't call priorities. Vooch and DeRozan are at the top. Vooch is right now projected to be the only guy on the team pulling double-digit ownership. 8,800 is pretty cheap for his upside. He also could play a few more minutes here. We got 37 minutes last game, so there's certainly a chance he gets back there. So he looks pretty good at 8,800, but for example, I still think Bam looks better for 1,300 less. DeRozan, only power forward eligible, kind of sucks. It would be easier if you could roster him at both forward spots. But 9,100, he has a 36% usage rate without LaVine on the floor this year. Certainly a high ceiling, but I think priced pretty close to correctly. And then you go through the rest of the starters, or assumed starters. Kobe White at 6,400 looks fine. I would still put him behind a lot of those other similarly priced point guards that we've talked about. Dosunmu at 6,100, getting pretty expensive, also playing a ton of minutes. Just a lot of other guys in that price range that I would prefer, though. If Troy Brown Jr. starts at 3,400, the way cheap value looks right now, I would have some interest. He's not a great point per minute guy. I would assume he plays 24 to 26 minutes, but 3,400 does open some stuff up for you.
Somebody asked, do you think the Memphis money line could hit? Yeah, dude. It's plus 135. Of course. I mean, of course it could hit. Yeah. They're 3.5-point dogs in the row to Denver. They're not big dogs. We'll get to that game though. Really interesting from a fantasy standpoint. So kind of excited to get there. Before we do that, we got a couple other spots to get through. So let's hit on Milwaukee. I mentioned at the top of the show, Adam, you just have so many good top tier players. And I mean, it's crazy. Even a guy like Giannis isn't really pulling much weight on a slate like tonight.
Yeah. One thing that does concern me a little bit about Giannis is he did play 32 minutes last game, even though he played down to the wire. You have Holiday back. He didn't start last game. Don't know if he'll start tonight, but seemed like, not seemed like it happened. As soon as Holiday came back, you added that, you got that body back, and Giannis goes back to playing a couple of minutes less, which he still projects really well. He's the second best point per minute guy in the league behind Jokic, but when you're paying 11.7 for him, you really need those few extra minutes. And so I still there's nothing wrong with playing him, but there's still a couple of other pay up options I like a little bit more. The other guy that I think is interesting from Milwaukee is Bobby Portis, 6,300 on FanDuel with power forward and center eligibility, 6,700 center only on DraftKings, but still likely to play 32 minutes or so. Produces around 1.15 to 1.2 DraftKings points per minute. Just looks like a solid center option. So I think Giannis and Portis are the two guys at the top as far as Milwaukee goes. If you want to mix in some cheap Grayson Allen or Dante DiVincenzo and basically just hope for the best, that's fine, especially with the way value looks right now. But Giannis and Portis are the two that stand out.
All right, let's hit on Brooklyn and the Spurs then. This is one of those fun games that I think we could talk about at least a little bit here with the Brooklyn Nets. Even though there's, once again, Adam, just not a lot going on here. What do you anticipate with Kevin Durant. How long is he's projected to be out for? What was it, 4 to 6 weeks, right? Yeah,
something like that. I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. So low end 4 weeks. What do you anticipate? Say when we come up on 4 weeks, what do you think usage looks like for these guys? Because in the 2 games that he's been out that Irving and Harden have played together on the 17th and the 19th, they both have almost identical usage rates, 29% for Harden, 30% for Kyrie Irving. You look at assist rates in these 2 games, it's 34% for Irving, 34% for James Harden. And then fantasy points per minute is, I just lost it. You might have it. You might have it right on you. Oh, okay. Here we go. 1.29 for Irving and 1.08 for James Harden. But the rates are very similar here on these guys.
Yeah, and we saw that going back to last year as well, because if you go back to the start of last season, we have 21 total games now where Durant's been out and Irving and Harden have both been in. Kyrie has a 33% usage rate in those games, Harden and a 30% assist percentage. Harden has 29.6% usage rate, 39.9% assist percentage. So far this year, without Durant on the floor, Harden's at 33% usage, 42% assist percentage. So pretty much in line with those numbers. A little bit of higher usage rate because Kyrie wasn't in for some of those games. Kyrie in 89 minutes, 32% usage, 32% assist percentage. So again, pretty much in line with the numbers dating back to last year. So I expect it to pretty much hold along those lines.
With that in mind, is there any interest in getting either of these guys today?
Absolutely. I love both of these guys.
I only asked because I honestly thought there would be more ownership. They are really, I'm still waiting on an update. Have we gotten an update yet? I did ask them about.
Yeah, we got one 3 minutes ago.
3 minutes ago. Okay. Did we get any changes to this Brooklyn team, or are they still just like in the basement of ownership?
Yeah. Harden and Irving are both, they're at 5%. And
crazy.
Yeah, I like them both a ton. Like Irving was my highest owned player the other night, ended up burning me because he essentially did nothing in the second half while everybody priced around him.
You were feeling good about that early on when we were talking to him. Yeah. And LMA looked real good.
Yeah, LMA ended up being great, but Irving just stopped doing anything. But I'm going right back there. I mean, there's no real reason to think he's going to have a usage rate below 30%. He's likely to play 37, 38 minutes. This is a fast-paced game as well. The Spurs have played fast all season long.
Top 5 pace, middle of the road defense. Yeah.
Yeah, 9,500 just looks really good. So definitely like Irving. I like Harden as a pay-up option. Like he's probably going to play 39 or 40 minutes. They both look great to me, and I love them at that ownership.
I agree. I mean, would you say of the high-priced players that these two are, and Irving's not that high priced, but do you think Irving makes for a viable pivot off of a high owned? Because I think we both like John Moran a lot in this spot, but I mean, he's like 27%. Irving's less than 5% projected ownership, essentially the same price.
Yeah, I really like that pivot. I mean, I like playing them both together if you can, because we haven't talked about it yet, but I love John Moran too. But yeah, like I don't think there should be that big of a difference between these two in ownership.
Do you think there's merit to just fading all of the like ultra high priced guys and working in some of the like multiple 9K guys and an 8K player tonight?
I think so. The way value looks right now, at least. Like on the one hand, when there's 11 games, there's just going to be cheap guys that end up doing well typically. So going stars and scrubs is always viable. But at the same time, there's a very strong mid-range and then a really strong, like the Kyrie Irving, John Morant, Fred VanVleet kind of price range from like 8,500 to 9,500. There's a bunch of guys there that can get you 55, 60 DraftKings points. So I think it's a pretty viable route.
Well, I mean, Jokic is so expensive that as good as a play as he may be here, or, every single game, he's coming off a 92 fantasy point performance. It is really tough to get to him with there being a dearth of value tonight. Yeah,
exactly. You're basically, the stars and scrubs build always gives you a really high ceiling, but with how many good, like $7K to $9,500 plays there are, not that you need 90 from Jokic, but I don't think you're getting by with just getting like 65 points from Jokic or 60 from Giannis or something like that. I think that like it's not hurting you, but I think that it's not going to actively help you either. The scary part, if you go with a more balanced build, is that obviously we're talking about guys that are capable of getting to 60, and you're foregoing the guys that are capable of getting to 75 or 80.
Right. Bill asks, other than Conchar and Ingles, is there anyone below 4,300 on DraftKings that you like? I mean
there's a lot that look okay. There's not much that really stands out.
No, I mean, look, this is what we said earlier. The fact that Aaron Wiggins is getting 17% right now tells you really all you need to know, doesn't it?
Right. Like, I'm fine taking shots at guys like PJ Washington and Grayson Allen and Dante DiVincenzo and all of these guys, but it's not like I'm putting them in lineups and feeling confident that they're going to do well. Right. It's more just about, they're cheap enough that they have some chance of doing well. But this isn't a slate, at least right now, where I'm looking at really anybody that's really cheap and saying like, oh, I really like this guy.
Batum is active.
Yeah, so is Morris.
Oh, Morris is in?
Yep.
Okay. I only saw Batum there.
I hadn't seen Batum. But yeah, Morris in, Derek Favors in, Oklahoma City starting SGA, Dort, Giddey, Wiggins, and Robinson a roll again.
Yeah, I saw the starting lineup there. Brian says, Laffy's not a conspiracy theory fan like Adam Scherer. Yeah, Adam Scherer, just big time conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, and you're just going on tangents before the show about them.
Nothing I said is a conspiracy. No, it's a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy theory.
Right.
It's
exactly.
just factual.
Right. It happened, and it is a conspiracy.
Right. A conspiracy just means it happened, right? A conspiracy theory, a little bit different. I like to dabble, but in the sensible stuff. I'm not a tinfoil hat type of guy. Come on. What do you think of me?
Earth is flat as fuck.
What'd you say?
I was just laughing at the Earth is flat.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like dude, have you ever watched? Seriously, I know we don't have a lot of time, but if you ever want entertainment, and I'm sure we got a couple people in here that are that hate the Globers. What do they call them? I don't know, but the people that do think it's flat. There are some what?
Flat earthers?
No, but they call people who believe that the Earth is round something else.
Oh, fitting that this comes up while we're on the Nets, though.
I know, right? Like globe cucks, maybe. Probably globe cucks. That's probably it.
I've never heard that before, but I hope that's what they're called.
Some of this stuff is insane, insanely entertaining. So I don't hold it against you guys. Keep providing this stuff. It's great. And for somebody like me that is very much open to, pretty much anything, Adam, even that one is tough to wrap your head around. San Antonio Spurs. What do you think of DeJounte Murray today?
I think he's really good. He's another guy where he's a little bit more expensive than the Kyrie and Morant range and Van Vliet, but I also don't, as much as I like James Harden, as much as I like Giannis, I also don't really know that I need to pay $1,700 more for those guys than for DeJounte Murray, who is just capable of giving you a massive score once again. He's around a 1.4 DraftKings point per minute guy, should play 35 minutes or so. I think he looks great like he normally does.
All right. Do you want to hit on anything specific for San Antonio, starting with Derek White?
Derek White's another 6K guard, just absolutely loaded tier, basically, from 6K to 6,700. And that is one reason we'll talk about it when we get to Utah. I think I think Jordan Clarkson's a really good play. I think Mike Conley's a really good play. I also think that they're going wildly over-owned given the number of alternatives priced around them. So I think that is one spot that it's probably profitable to just make some pivots in tournaments tonight. Derek White being one of those guys should give you 30 to 32 minutes. He's about a fantasy point per minute guy, and this game should be high scoring. Pirtle and Keldon Johnson both look fine, but Murray and White are the two I like the most here.
Skywalker, I agree with you, sir. See, I'm very much open to many of these things. All right, Awesemo Hall of Fame. Then we got 3 games to go, and we'll turn the page over to Live Before Lock. As always, it's Eric Lindquist. It's Greg Ehrenberg hanging out with you up until 7:30. Actually, I think we got another post-lock show going to 8. So hang out with them. Spend part of your night with them. Get away from the monotony of the family. I got to say that quietly. And everything else that goes on in your life, and spend some time after lock sweating, breaking down ownership, and some Yahoo lineups and everything else with Greg and your boy Eric. But before we do any of that, shout out to all of our winners from the Awesemo Hall of Fame. Time to induct you. If you want to get into this, I know a lot of people, life aspirations all amount to being able to get themselves on the Awesemo Hall of Fame. And I respect that. Just go to awesemo.com/avatar. Whether you're on Yahoo, FanDuel, DraftKings, doesn't matter. If you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, tweet us at Awesemo HOF. There you go. Tyler put it on the screen. Win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, $90 value, all the tools for every sport we have. And obviously, get up here, inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I have everybody shout you out here and on Twitter. So it's just a win-win across the board. Just like Derek Granton here, D's nuts. $25,000 in the 600K play action. Much thanks to the whole Awesemo crew for helping me take down second place. Congrats, man. Huge win. Lockbriar picked up the win with Carr and Zay Jones, 10,000 there. So we got some five-figure wins out of the gate. And then second, Adam, can you look at the screen for a second?
I am looking at the screen.
Okay.
Wait,
pronounce that name
what
for
screen?
me.
Like I'm looking at my
just
computer.
look at the Zoom screen or look at the Zoom screen. Pronounce that name for me.
This would have been fun yesterday.
I was just going to say that. Yes, this would have been the whole show.
Radosavljevic 23. Come on, man.
All right. But it's got to be Levitch, right? For someone that goes and sees and talks about many European basketball players. Yeah.
It's
got to be a CH sound, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. I mean, your guess is as good as mine, honestly. But congrats, man. Second place in the mini-max. And it doesn't matter if it's a nickel, dime, quarter, dollar. If you're entering and you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, you still get the Awesemo Plus Platinum. So there's no qualifier for how big the entry has to be. And then we got, I couldn't pronounce this yesterday. I can't pronounce. Try this one, Adam. This is tougher than the last one.
Yeah, but Belogan nod.
I guess $33,000, first and fifth place in the Monster. Congrats to you, man. Tell us how to pronounce that if you're watching, because it is difficult. And then Bill Dozer, getting used to the tools over the last 2 months. And even without a show today from Slim Cliffy and Josh, was able to get my first win in the $1.20 max. Congrats, dude. $400 up top, first place. And we'll wrap it up with our boy Dave DeRemer getting back on track here with the $900 third place win. And then I love that 3-pick parlay, $20 into $1,200. I mean, that's just a beauty. Congrats to everyone. Welcome to the Hall of Fame if you're new here. If not, welcome back. And get up there. Awesemo at Awesemo HOF, and include Adam and myself in there as well. We like to see that when you guys take down some good stuff. All right, let's make this happen. Adam, 3 to go. Memphis and Denver. The Grizzlies. I mean, what do we do now? John Morant and Jaren Jackson this year with Bane and Brooks off the court. Both have 30+% usage rates. Jackson's been phenomenal with these guys off the court this year. Yeah,
he's been really good. He came out of nowhere last game. He was kind of just having like a mediocre game and then just went nuts down the stretch. But getting back to Jackson looks fine at 6,300. No issues there. But the clear priority here is Morant. Not only does he get a bump in rates without Brooks in particular, but without Brooks and Bane. But we also saw him just play a bunch of extra minutes with Tyus Jones out last game. That was one of the reasons that DeAnthony Melton didn't play a lot, was you got 39 minutes from John Morant. So this is someone that, normally you're like hoping to get 34 or 35, knowing that almost 40 minutes is at least potentially on the table is really appealing. So Morant looks great. Jackson looks fine. Adams at 4,700 is fine, I think. What I think is really interesting tonight is the John Conchar and DeAnthony Melton pieces, because we talked, like, Melton was super popular last slate. Conchar was popular, but not as popular.
It's baloney D.
Okay.
Sorry. God.
Is that right? So like we had talked about it where we thought Conchar was going to start and Melton should play mid-20s, but didn't necessarily have to. And you saw him play like 17 minutes. Now, Conchar is projected for 18% ownership. Melton is projected for 4%. On a slate with not a lot of value, I'm interested in getting to Melton in tournaments, knowing that he's not safe at all. Like, he doesn't have a floor here. He very easily could play like 18 minutes. But if he plays well, basically he just didn't play any minutes alongside Conchar. He played a couple alongside Conchar. Mostly they were subbing in and out for each other. Conchar is more likely to be in the closing lineup, but if Melton's playing well, you could just get him, to those 22 to 24 minutes. And we know he's a good point per minute guy. So not going crazy and not telling anyone that like he's going to play 24 minutes or anything, but just because basically the way I see it is that like I thought the 17 to 18 minute game was at least possible last time out. So the fact that it happened, I don't want to read too much into it and conclude that like it's impossible for him to play 24. I think the most likely case is that he plays like 18 to 20-ish, but if he plays well, you could certainly see a few more minutes. So I'm interested there at low ownership. Conchar, I think, is the safer of the two, assuming he's still in the starting lineup.
It's a weird spot though, right? Because like, even with everyone off the floor, Conchar has been a very low per minute guy, low usage guy. You know, we saw last time out, it was 30% usage. And I know it's just one game, but I think it's indicative of what we're going to see going forward, Adam. 30% usage from Morant. He got up like 27 shots and 10 free throw attempts. And what did he play? 39 minutes. Jaren Jackson had a 34% usage rate. So it doesn't mean that at a low price contract isn't viable, right? It's not like it's not like he's not going to be involved at all, but it's basically scraps outside of these top two guys. And you're just hoping he can pick up some peripherals. But I just wonder how much of it is recency bias with Conchar coming off that huge game a week ago, and how much of a viable pivot he is. But from what you said, it sounds like you're saying, okay, I do like John Conchar, but there might be some pivot options available with this guy being pretty popular.
Right. I like John Conchar. I think that the ownership is about where it should be. I don't think he's really over-owned. I don't think he's under-owned. It's just there, and it makes sense. Melton, to me, when you consider the potential that's still there, at 4% ownership on a slate where I'm not looking at any value right now that I really like, I just think he's probably going a little bit under-owned.
Oh, okay. Aid Belogan just super chatted us $10. This is it, Adam.
That makes a lot more sense.
That makes a lot more sense. It's like the guy spelled, if it's baloney, he spelled baloney wrong, and He just killed the bit. But no, okay. Belogan. You didn't have to super chat, man. I would have looked for it, but thank you. I appreciate that. And nice takedown, man. Thanks for watching. So can we agree that John Morant and Jaren Jackson are both very good plays today, especially if Jaren Jackson plays 30 plus minutes again, man? That's been his biggest drawback, right? Is not getting enough run.
Yeah, exactly. And
he's 6,300, cheaper than he's been in a while.
Yeah, he's cheap. The minutes are available. Like, they're missing a bunch of guys. There's more usage available. Like you had said before, Conchar for the season has a 10.5% usage rate. Zaire Williams has a 14% usage rate.
Yeah.
They're replacing Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks. That's a lot of additional usage. Right. That's a lot of additional usage available. And Adams isn't taking it. So that's a lot of shots for John Morant and Jaren Jackson.
Yeah. Even like a Kyle Anderson being out is still, right. He's still like a 19% usage guy that's off the floor. So yeah, it's pretty significant. And
to clarify, Shane Hall, I guess, was questioning Melton being a good point per minute guy. He's at 1.02 DraftKings points per minute for the season. So I don't really care what he did in his last 3 games.
Yeah. And it's better than any of the other guys we talked about.
Yeah. Like, he averages 0.2 of a fantasy point more per minute than Conchar. It's just that Conchar is likely to play like twice as many minutes.
Right. Any thoughts on the Nuggets?
Nikola Jokic is really good. If you can get him in the lineups, go for it. Cousins is available. I think that could potentially be a negative for Jokic in that, he plays 34 minutes instead of 36, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Certainly not worried about him really losing minutes. The Nuggets have nobody else really to do anything on this team. Will Barton, I think, is the other option that's kind of reasonable. He's 5,400 on DraftKings, 5,700 on FanDuel. Just looks decent, but doesn't stand out. Jokic, clearly the guy that I would like to get to, but we've kind of already mentioned it. It's just really tough.
That is true. All right. One more call for it. 430 likes. We got 70 to go before we get to 500. I mean, that's a pretty good spot to close this out. We're never going to hit what we did yesterday. Yesterday was a special show. I don't know if we ever recreate that magic again, although the recipe is pretty easy, Adam.
The recipe is easy.
And enjoyable, right?
Yeah. Not a bad time at all. Didn't mind.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2,400 people watching. I think we could push that ratio up, get it to 500 out of 2,400. And if you haven't subscribed, join us. If you want to join too, like join the channel, get the custom emojis, the EMAC, the Adam emojis. We need an Adam emojis with like red eyes. That'd be fun. All of the other ones and the custom, the badges that get cooler over time, free super chats each month, and always prioritize your questions and comments along with our premium Discord members You can hit that join now down below as well. It's up to you. You don't want to, that's okay. But if you want to join the team, we'd love to have you. All right. Talk to me about the Pistons against Utah. They're 13-point dogs. We're still waiting on Rudy Gobert news, but we know that on the other side, Mitchell's out, Whiteside's out. So Rudy Gobert's a lot hinges on that tonight, but started off with the Pistons.
I have absolutely nothing to say about Detroit on DraftKings. Cade Cunningham's FanDuel price tag is insane. He is, I'm just double checking, but I believe $5,200. Yeah, he's $5,200 on FanDuel. Play him on FanDuel. Nothing else really stands out. On DraftKings, I have essentially no interest. Cunningham would be the first guy that I get to, but he's pretty far down the line.
Yeah, very far down the line, really. Okay, that was easy enough. Highest owned player on this team is 1%. Highest owned optimal probability is Olynyk. He does have positive leverage score, but it's pretty insignificant.
Yeah, like Olynyk's a really good point per minute guy. It's just a matter of how many minutes is he going to play. They had said he wasn't limited last game. He played like 21 to 22 minutes. He could, I guess, just like kick Lyles out of the rotation, but he also was playing a lot of his minutes alongside Lyles, so can only pick up so many minutes there.
He's also not that cheap.
Right, yeah. He's basically priced to play like 24 or 25 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, he erupted in that last game. Don't get me wrong. But, right. And Olynyk has that upside. Like, we've seen it. We saw it in Houston last year, even though when they were limiting him down the stretch. And we've seen it in Detroit this year. But
yeah, not a bad night slate play. Have a really hard time getting there on the main slate.
Sure. Yeah. If Olynyk was like 4,500 tonight, he might be one of the better plays on the slate, honestly.
Sure.
But he's not. What if Rudy Gobert's out? Does that change anything from a defensive standpoint?
I mean, yes, but
I meant from a fantasy appeal standpoint for the bigs for Detroit.
Yeah, not particularly.
Okay. Talk to me about Utah then, and then we'll wrap it up with Houston, Golden State, and toss this one over to the Live Before Lock crew. We almost made it under, but I think we've done a pretty good job for 11 games. Mitchell's out. Whiteside's still in COVID protocol, and Rudy Gobert questionable.
Yeah, so I mean, the Gobert news is big. If Gobert is in, he looks great. He's probably my favorite center play. 8,900 with Whiteside out. You would expect him to play a lot of minutes again, as long as this game's competitive. It's a good matchup. Just looks fantastic. If he's out, you're going to probably still have plenty of room in your lineup to make swaps, because you're just going to be getting to a lot of Utah and Memphis anyway, not to mention Golden State games. So I'm going to, unless we get news, I'm going to project him in, even though I think there's a decent chance he sits. But he looks really good. Bogdanovich has about
hold on a second. If he's out, who do we look towards? Like, I don't think there's any way that like Norvel Pell plays 30 minutes in a spot like this, right? So does it like Eric Pascal that ends up getting a lot of, maybe plays at the 5? What do you think we see?
So based on what we saw recently, like Eric Pascal didn't play at all last game. Azubuike backed up Gobert. Daniel House played ahead of Pascal with Rudy Gay out. You do have Rudy Gay back today, though. So I think that my best guess would be they start Azubuike and Gay just plays a nice chunk of minutes off the bench. So if I'm interested in Rudy Gay at 4,300 either way. If Gobert sits, I think it makes Gay look better. You can take shots at whoever's starting at center, but I think Gay ends up playing a good amount of time at center.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead with the rest of Utah. I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, the rest of these guys look good too. I mean, Bogdanovich has about a 27% usage rate without Mitchell this year. Jordan Clarkson's at 30%. Mike Conley's averaging a fantasy point per minute without Mitchell on the floor. You can expect around 30 minutes from Conley, like 34 to 36 from Bogdanovich, 30 or so from Clarkson, 31 or 32 from Ingles, probably 34 or so from O'Neal. They all just look like pretty good options. I did mention it earlier that, Mike Conley likely to get a ton of ownership, and I get why. He looks good. He's underpriced, but when he's getting 23% ownership, and you have some of these other 6K guys that just aren't getting anywhere close to that. Reggie Jackson's at 2%. Cole Anthony's at 19, but the point, Tyrese Maxey at 5%. The point being, there's a lot of guys that have a similar range of outcomes to Conley, even if they project a little bit worse. I think that's one spot that I like pivoting in tournaments.
All right. Top options from Utah.
Gobert, if he's in, followed by probably Bogdanovich because of his positional eligibility. He's guard and forward on DraftKings. Clarkson, Conley, then Ingles, Gay, and O'Neal.
All right. This should make life pretty easy. Is there anything you want from Houston tonight?
Actually, sort of.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, just tournaments, but like another guy that is in that guard price range that is going to get nowhere near as much ownership as Conley is Kevin Porter Jr. against a Draymond Greenless Golden State team. This game should be very fast paced. He can play 32 to 34 minutes. I like him a lot in tournaments. Christian Wood looks like a good tournament option as well, center being the issue, but really high ceiling there. So those two I like in tournaments. Tate, Gordon, Jalen Green, all are fine as well, but Kevin Porter in particular, I really like.
All right. On the other side, as we wrap this up, I got to ask you, and I'm assuming you're just going to say no to this, but I have to ask anyway. If Wiggins sits, right, you have a Houston team that plays at the fastest pace in the league. They're the worst. They have the worst defensive rating in the league. And Curry's projected for less than 1% ownership tonight. I know he's probably a little bit more expensive than he should be just based on the way that he's been playing lately, Adam. But I mean, I don't know, dude. The Houston Rockets allow the 5th most threes to opposing teams. Is there not some inkling that maybe Curry in a spot where Clay's out, where Dre's out, where Wiggins could be out against the worst team and the fastest paced team in basketball could go nuclear?
There absolutely is. The issue is that, for one, you could just go James Harden, at 5% ownership. I like him more than Steph. But then also, again, it goes back to having John Morant and Van Vliet and DeJounte Murray and Kyrie. So it's still really tough to get there. But yeah, like he absolutely can just go nuts in this spot.
Certainly feels like it. And he's coming off a big game, getting off the schneid, just as everybody said that, Curry can't do it no more. At least people in chat, not all of you guys, obviously. Not an indictment on all of you. Most of you get it. But do you want to get to Payton or anybody else? And then just very quickly, what if Wiggins sits? That leaves us without Wiggins, Clay, and Dre, 3 starters.
Yeah, so I really like Jordan Poole at 5,800. Just assuming he's going to start. He's averaged 0.97 DraftKings points per minute in his starts with Curry active this year. So it makes him look very good in this spot. If Wiggins sits, I don't know who ends up starting. Could be Porter, could be Payton. Whoever does start would look fine. Kuminga at 4,900 is okay, but his price tags come up. I think the clear priority for me here is Jordan Poole.
All right. And hey, as we get some fun stuff rolling around, coming down the pike, as NFL rolls down, maybe we do, Adam, one time do a live stream, live watching thing and just get a little tuned up and have some fun and just throw it up on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why the hell Jordan Poole's projected for 3% ownership.
I thought he'd be excited for this.
Well, I was only half listening because I saw Jordan Poole's.
I said we got to get tuned up one night and do like a live watch party and just have some fun. Get Josh. And Ben.
Yeah. I did that with UFC a couple weeks ago. It was fun.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, it's fun. You guys come watch. Let us know if you want to do that. If not, there's no point. But we had so much fun yesterday that I think it's high time for us to do that. It's also time for us to go because we're late again. But I don't know. Don't blame me. At Ship My Money DFS, follow me at Lafayette_D, and shout out to Tyler Zander. Nice work today, Tyler. We had a couple of hiccups, but we got through it, no problem at all. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out as always. Good luck. Have a good rest of the weekend, and we'll catch you back here Monday for the Deeper Dive presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. Peace, y'all.
What? That was the weirdest countdown I've ever seen in my life. Welcome, everybody, to the NBA Live Before Lock Show. I think we're live. I have no idea. You just did this, and then you paused, and then you went to 3, and then you kind of went back to 4, and then 3. Whatever. Nobody cares. Welcome. We have 50 minutes to go here until we're to the lock, of course, and then half an hour extra. We're going to talk Yahoo. Oh, I should introduce myself. I'm Eric Lindquist. I bet most of you guys know that, but for those who don't, go follow me at Eric Lindquist on Twitter. I'm along with my buddy, per usual here, doing the NBA Live Before Lock shows all week long. That's my buddy, Greg Ehrenberg, at G Ehrenberg DFS. He's going to be giving you all the great analysis. Obviously, we had some news pop up right away here. Greg, how you doing?
I'm good, but I wish we had like a soundbite for this, but we have breaking news. Injury report. This is the new breaking news for injury report that we have going on. I know that we have some people in the YouTube chat have already pointed it out, but this is what happens. You get breaking news on the show. We go right to the doctor. We go right to the emergency room to figure out what's going on. Kyle Kuzma out today. This came out of nowhere. This was not expected. We got to be safe in these situations. So Kyle Kuzma, this is big news.
It's his neck. Do we have like a neck brace? Is there something that we can do for that? There's got to be something remotely close.
There's only so much you could do on late notice. But no, I think these are limited in the amount of filters that I have at my disposal.
Well, we have the deal with it. We have coming up Nag's word of the day. I'm very excited for that one. We're going to have to find a time to kind of roll that one up. If anybody has recommendations, super chat, lovely thing. Reading anything off of Urban Dictionary might have been my favorite part of a fantastic show yesterday. No doubt about it. But breaking news as we came in, Kyle Kuzma ruled out, Greg. I think this is definitely something that we want to be addressing right from the get-go. Who do you think are the main beneficiaries here for the Washington Wizards facing Toronto at home? 217.5 total. Who do you want to get to the most?
Yeah, so to be honest, I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm still kind of looking at, because Washington was not a team I was really considering playing today for multiple reasons. Number one is I assumed they were healthy. This is a team that on an 11-game slate, it looked like they were going to have everybody active for them, which is not the case for a lot of the teams today. And in general, on a slate of this size, focus on the teams that have guys out, ignore the teams that basically have everybody active. That's no longer the case. And then something else that's been an issue when looking at the Washington Wizards, the center rotation is a mess right now because they've got Harrell, Gafford, and Thomas Bryant now back from his torn ACL, all splitting minutes. But now we get to a point where I'm going to pull up the splits of these guys off the court. My assumption is that Spencer Dinwiddie and Bradley Beal both look better. That's what logic would dictate, but not totally sure until we actually see what the numbers look like. And then in terms of the starting lineup, I guess I wonder if they move Rui back into the starting lineup.
Whoa, that would be interesting. But I mean, for me, it's not even like trying to find any kind of value for his position replacement. As you said, their front court has gotten a lot healthier as they progressed here. I mean, I could see a guy like a Denny Avdia maybe getting the start and being viable there. 3,600 over on DraftKings. I'm playing primarily DraftKings and Yahoo, our sponsor Yahoo today. Rui Hachimura, 3,300, I suppose, 16, 17 minutes the last two. That would be very appealing at 3,300, I suppose. Even like 20, 22 minutes of him might be something to get to. But as you said, a lot of bodies there now in the front court. Nick Claxton ruled out here as well. We'll get to that, talk a little bit more about that with DeAndre Bembry available to play from Brooklyn. But I'm with you. I think Bradley Beal is kind of the main beneficiary. 8,700 was already a decent enough price tag to be getting to over on DraftKings. On Yahoo, our sponsor, $40. That's a little bit hefty there. But looking at FanDuel as well, 9K. Nothing's jumping out, but at least he becomes much more viable, I think, on DraftKings. And Spencer Dinwiddie, I don't know, 6,300. His price kind of was trending up towards that, 6,900 we were paying for him 2 games ago in absence of Bradley Beal there for a hot second. But Kyle Kuzma, 8K, his rebounding rate has been astronomical of late. I'm definitely kind of looking more towards Bradley Beal and not a whole lot else until we see what that value looks like.
Yeah, so I've got the numbers now with Kuzma off the court, and just based on this information, I think Dinwiddie's the guy for me. So actually not really a massive boost for Bradley Beal this year when Kuzma's been off the court. 32.5% usage rate, scores 43.43 DraftKings points per 36 minutes. Spencer Dinwiddie, on the other hand, when Kyle Kuzma was off the court, 26.4% usage rate and is scoring 38.9 DraftKings points per 36 minutes. So actually the points per minute production has not been that different between Beal and Dinwiddie when Kuzma's been off the court this year, but Dinwiddie's a lot cheaper. So it's a little bit of a boost for Beal. And like you said, the FanDuel price is probably about appropriate, maybe a little bit too cheap on DK. It used to be a couple $100 more expensive, but I think Dinwiddie's the guy for me here.
Yeah, totally. And here's the thing. Washington value, if you're playing the late swap game, which again, everybody drink, I just brought it up. Utah, we're going to have a lot of Utah exposure. We're going to have a lot of late exposure to this Memphis-Denver game as well. So I think being able to mix and match pieces over on DraftKings where there's a ton of roster flexibility, where you can play guys at multiple positions, it should be pretty easy to be able to see whatever that Washington value looks like, whoever ends up in that starting lineup, and kind of plugging and playing them accordingly. Anything else you want to add to Washington before we start going position by position like we always do?
It's really hard to say until we see that starting lineup, because I do think there's a number of guys they could go to. Ultimately, I think the plan is to get Rui back in the starting lineup. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, at some point. I mean, he's a guy that coming out of Gonzaga, they just wanted to be a piece of this team. Obviously, injuries are a thing. He's had some issues in that regard.
Well, no. But he didn't miss time with an injury this year. It was just personal issue. It was just personal reasons.
I'm looking at Thomas Bryant right now. Sorry. Thomas Bryant was the guy who was injured, like sitting there on the sideline for it. But then Rui Hachimura out of Gonzaga. He was the guy from Gonzaga, 3,300. Obviously, he's only been playing since the 9th of January here. So it's been very limited amount of time, over 6 months off there, comes back decent enough here, starting to trend up, maybe 16, 17 minutes. But, for me, I want to see him in the starting lineup. I probably have no interest if he doesn't.
Yeah, I feel the same way. But so the situation with Rui Hachimura is, I believe he was dealing with mental health issues earlier in the season, and he just kind of opted out of the part of the year. The Washington Wizards granted him that. They gave him his space. So it's not like we're looking at him coming back. The difference with somebody like Thomas Bryant getting extended minutes is Thomas Bryant's coming back from a significant injury. Hachimura isn't dealing with a knee injury he's coming back with or anything. It's just kind of a conditioning thing. We haven't seen the minutes get increased yet, and I don't know this is going to be the case, but just kind of a gut feeling. I think there's a chance that he moves into the starting lineup. His minutes have kind of very, very slowly trended up. Last 4 games, 12 minutes, 15, 16, 17, maybe starts and plays 22 to 24 minutes. If that's the case, we've seen him be a good fantasy producer in the past. I wouldn't mind getting some exposure to him, but remains to be seen what the starting lineup is.
Yeah, everybody's kind of going a little over the top there in chat. Rui is a lock. All I need is 15 minutes from him at 3.6K. Am I looking at the same guy we're talking about here? I mean, I know over the last year with Kuzma off the floor, 1.17 fantasy point per minute player, but over his career, around a 0.85 fantasy point per minute player. So I'm not going completely nuts for him here. If he starts, I think you can put him in for 22 minutes, and that looks really enticing to me. And I think that'll be a guy I want to get to. But if he's not starting, just stop with this lock stuff. That's just a lot. Let's get to the guard position. Also, my Fro host is back. I love producer Tyler Fridays. That's awfully fun. My Fro host has returned. Beautiful. Things you love to see. That. Let's go. Joe Ingles, Jalen Suggs, Ja Morant, Jordan Clarkson. We have a lot of popular guys. Let's start with the Utah side. I did say that this is something that we're going to be monitoring. Obviously, we know the situation with Donovan Mitchell out. Well, you also have Rudy Gobert questionable. I think that's more applicable to forward. But we will look at Joe Ingles right now, Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley. Can you order those 3 for me? And will it depend on the site?
Also, I'll go site by site right now. Same thing we did the other day when we had the same situation. We just kind of looked at it because I have my builds here for DK and for FanDuel. So let me pull up Utah. And this, what also makes this really tricky is I have no clue what to expect from Rudy Gobert, whether he's going to be in or out. For now, I have him marked in. To be honest, though, I think he's going to sit. I think this is really similar to what the situation we had yesterday when I was talking about the Indiana Pacers. And I thought it was a situation where it just made sense to not play Malcolm Brogdon and Karis LeVert. I wasn't 100% confident, but you had to make a guess, and I ended up being on the right side of it. They're 13-point favorites at home against the Pistons. They've already have Donovan Mitchell out. I think they should even win this game fairly comfortably without Mitchell and Gobert. So gun to my head, I think Gobert is probably more likely to sit than play. But with that aside, in terms of the priorities for me, it is Mike Conley 1, Joe Ingles 2, Bojan Bogdanovic 3, Jordan Clarkson 4. That is on DK. Over on FanDuel, it is Conley 1, Ingles 2, Bogdanovich 3, Clarkson 4. I think it was actually the same order on both sites.
Yeah, I think you said the same one. And yeah, interesting. Clarkson 4 for you, because I know he was somebody you were a lot higher on the other night. And I mean, I'm looking at DraftKings, everybody's price came up there. Ingles obviously was really cheap the other night, 3,700. Now he's 42. Jordan Clarkson, 5,800. Now he is 55. Mike Conley, 6,200, up from 6K. Bogdanovich, 6,200. He's the guy who performed the best out of everybody. 27 shot attempts was pretty jarring to see out of Bogdanovich, but I guess that's the kind of upside he'll have. He'll be the lowest owned out of everybody, but you like him more than you like a guy like Jordan Clarkson today?
Yeah. So the other thing too, when it comes, and once again, we're going to have to see what ends up happening with Gobert being around. Not that would have that much of an impact on Jordan Clarkson. But Clarkson last game only ended up playing 29 minutes. I thought he was going to play a little bit more. And that was also in a competitive game. They ended up playing sub 30 minutes, which that was a little bit disappointing. And if I just have to assume he's going to play less than 30 minutes again, it kind of caps how highly I could project him personally. Mike Conley played 34 minutes, which is, if I'm going to give Mike Conley 5-6 more minutes than Clarkson, it makes a pretty big difference.
All right. And we got more news. We will address that at the forward spot. Danilo Gallinari going to be out as well. We'll get to that along with that Brooklyn news. Now that we got confirmation that, you've got Nicholas Claxton out once more. Not that it changes a whole heck of a lot for me. There's one piece in this early window of games here, 7 p.m. Eastern time, that is gaining quite a bit of traction, and that's Jalen Suggs. I don't know how much I want to be utilizing a roster spot on a popular 4,800 Jalen Suggs. I think there's a chance he might not even start in this one. I assume he does. I would think they would want to put him, the rookie, in and have Gary Harris go back to the bench, but I'm waiting to see on it. I think Jalen Suggs is a fine play, but 4,800 early window of games, lots of news. We have legitimately 11 games on this slate. How much Jalen Suggs are you getting to specifically over on DraftKings?
Yeah, I like him a lot more than you do. And so I understand the late swap angle. Obviously, it's something we preach a lot, but I have Jalen Suggs projected very, very well. I have him projected for mid-30s fantasy points today. That's enough. There's just not going to be value pieces later in the day that I'm going to prefer to Jalen Suggs. As for the point about him starting, he started last game, played 34 minutes. The plan all year has always been to have him start, but he broke his thumb. And that's why he went to the bench. That's why he played limited minutes. That's why his production was limited. I think we just go right back to seeing him play big minutes, normal role. I think we see a starting lineup of Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., and Mo Bamba. And then also keep in mind Wendell Carter Jr. is playing limited minutes today. So I just think that Jalen Suggs is way, way underpriced. If we look at his salary earlier in the year, last time we saw him starting, he was a guy who had gotten to be over 5,000. And I get that that's not actually that much cheaper than not that much more expensive than what he is right now. But he was still a high draft pick. He was really well regarded coming out of college. And he did get off to a really slow start to the season before his production started to pick up. And he was kind of starting to find his groove right when he broke his thumb. He started last game. He played well. And I think that's just what we're going to see more of going forward. It's not exactly the same, but I kind of view it similarly to when we had the ability to roster Cade Cunningham at this price a couple months ago.
Hi, chat. Hello. I didn't see that information come through. Suggs and Harris both in the starting lineup there with Anthony, Franz Wagner, and Mo Bamba. There you go. So you have an available Wendell Carter. He's not starting there. Congratulations. It came out a while ago. Yes, it did. Kind of have some other stuff that you're updating. I have, 3 sites that I'm updating. I'm primarily playing DraftKings Yahoo here, but kind of finishing up everything for some of the later games here too. Again, I'm not going to be getting to a ton of Jalen Suggs. That's kind of the late swap aspect. It's exactly that. But at the same time, I understand 4,800. He's been somebody that you've been able to try to make a thing. He certainly came to fruition that first start back here. Finally got back in that starting lineup, played 34 minutes. That's a large allotment to get out of him there. Very shot happy, 25.7% usage in that game. Happy to take that shot if you want to. I'm just kind of going a little bit lower. I'm going to get short of 15%, I think, in my last build and go elsewhere. You guys are great. I love chat. This is fun. We have this lovely relationship going this week, and I think it's going to continue. We're gonna have some fun here. So there you go. Anybody else here in the popular range of guards? We've got guys like Cole Anthony, 6,700. That is a low number to be looking at for him. Derek White is another guy, started the last 2 now. He's right back to, we were told that he wasn't going to start one of those games and got completely popped, but such is life. Derek White, How are you looking at him, Cole Anthony, Fred VanVleet? Probably my favorite out of everybody, 8,500. Anybody else in this 15 to 20% of ownership that you're getting to on DraftKings?
Yeah, Cole Anthony. Also, the Magic are number one, really short, and number two, they have a deceptively easy matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers. This team has been a disaster as of late, and the total for the game, 217.5, kind of middle of the road. That doesn't really do all that much. But Cole Anthony's been priced down, and he's going to have to play bigger minutes because of the amount of guys that are out right now. RJ Hampton being out individually, it's not like he was some guy who was playing 30 minutes, but still you have to allocate those RJ Hampton minutes somewhere. And I think most of it just goes to Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs because there aren't that many guards that the Magic have available. And, recent games for Hampton, you're getting around 20 minutes out of him. And here are now the available guards that the Orlando Magic have. It's Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, Terrence Ross, and that's it. Those are all the guards they have to play. So I think it's going to have to be really big minutes for Anthony and Suggs.
All righty. Maybe I just need to get a little bit more exposure than I was having to either one of those guys. Again, I just find there to be things that pop up every single one of these slates. I don't know. If Rudy Gobert's out, I just want to have all of the Utah up and down the entire board, and any roster spots I give up early. I mean, you're giving up some upside. I definitely would say with a guy like Cole Anthony for sure. Jalen Suggs, I actually feel weirdly more confident being lower on, I would say, than him in that spot. But you're kind of talking me into maybe having a little bit more as I'm updating everything. But let's go to other guards here, other situations. Fred VanVleet, I talked about on the top end being a guy at 8,500. We also have James Harden, who completely burned me last slate, but he's going to be really low owned again here. Same thing with Kyrie Irving, where he's, sub 5%, both of them. That's just kind of jarring to look at on DraftKings. Makes me want to just take those shots a little bit more. We've seen massive upside from the likes of DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, and now Steph Curry could have Wiggins off the floor. That would further bolster that situation for Steph Curry. Not that he's not going to get his shots up regardless. Any expensive guards you find yourself paying up for on this slate?
Yeah, one thing about Harden is even going back to last year in the games when Durant was out, but Irving was active, it's not like Harden's been a terrific fantasy producer. And then you look at the time this year when you have Durant off the court, but Irving and Harden both on the court, Harden's only scoring 38.63 DraftKings points per 36 minutes. So that's not to say he doesn't have upside. He clearly does, but I think we might have overstated what we were going to expect from him when Durant was out. Where it's going to matter is for home games where there's no Kyrie Irving and no Kevin Durant. But for road games, I don't really think it's that much different of a situation for James Harden playing alongside Kevin Durant as it was playing alongside Kyrie Irving. In fact, because Kyrie Irving plays on ball more, I think it's reasonable to expect that James Harden would produce more with Kyrie Irving out than with Kevin Durant out. So I don't think this is really a different situation than it was earlier in the year when Durant was playing alongside Harden for Harden.
Kyrie Irving, 8,900 on FanDuel, though. Any interest there compared to the 9,500 on DraftKings?
So I'll put it this way. I think the other day when we talked about this, you had said that between Harden and Irving, you preferred Harden for that slate. And
yeah, it was the small forward position was just a little abysmal. And so I just kind of found myself playing a little bit more Harden at small forward on FanDuel.
So I was indifferent then. I liked both of them. I didn't really have a lean. The lean is Irving for me now. If I have to roster Irving or Harden, the answer is Irving, and he's also cheaper. He's the guy for me I prefer.
Yeah, I prefer him on this slate as well. It's more of, what you can get from James Harden from time to time, but I think I will take the savings and go to Kyrie, specifically if you're playing more on FanDuel, which I'm not as much today. I think that that's a really, really opportunistic spot to capitalize and get you a little bit of that. He's sub $40 over on Yahoo. That's probably the best place to go play him. $37, sitting in the same range as like Drew Holiday and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jaylen Brown. I mean, he looks really, really good over there. So if you're playing over on our sponsor Yahoo, which I strongly suggest, get you some Kyrie Irving over there. Any low owned guards. So we've gone to the most popular guys. We've gone to the expensive guys. Anybody that you find coming in really low owned that you just definitely want to get to more exposure on this 11 game slate?
Let me sort my lineups here and see. Max Strus is somebody that stands out to me a little bit. He's projected for single digit ownership, and he's going to have to play big minutes. No Tyler Hero, no Kyle Lowry. Last two games for Max Strus, 29 minutes and 32 minutes. Last game ended up scoring 28.25 DraftKings points. I understand that was also a little bit of an outlier situation because Jimmy Butler got ejected. But I still think we're looking at upper 20s minutes for Max Strus, potentially low 30s if he's playing really well and they keep him out on the court. And people aren't playing him. So that's somebody who I think makes sense as a lower owned guard. Other guys, Kyrie Irving's fairly low owned, so that would be another one for me. Mm-hmm. Those are my two favorite low owned guards, Kyrie Irving and Max Strus.
I've got one guy, and again, this is an 11 gamer, and I say this all the time. We're doing like the 50-minute pre-show. We're doing the half hour here afterwards, but there's one guy that I just want to get your take on that you can't talk about everybody, but Terry Rozier is 7,600, which is actually down from when he just went up for 51.5 against Boston. Not only has he been consistent, but he's been playing some really, really big minutes alongside, a guy like Bridges who's playing 40-ish minutes. I mean, we're talking 41 in 2 of his last 3, 35 and 39 in the other 2. Just kind of been a usage hog here as well, doing a lot offensively here for this basketball team. Also spiked up to 10 assists last game out. I mean, he's somebody at 7,600. You can make a case for so many of these guys, and he's in the early window. I think taking some shots on some of these early guys and then building around them isn't always the worst thing either, rather than kind of having no idea where you're standing on in the night. But is any Terry Rozier interest for you tonight?
Let's see. Where did I come in on Terry Rozier? Yeah, although I'm not that much different from the field. I don't like the price point on him. $7,600 over on, were you saying for DK?
For DK,
FanDuel,
on FanDuel is 8K, so I have no interest in playing him over there.
He's 8K on FanDuel, but 76 on DK. Both of those price tags are a little bit too steep for me. I have Rozier projected for 33 fantasy points. It's just not somebody I want to play on an 11-game slate when he's 76 and 8,000.
All right, fam. Michael Pazzulli, definitely a JTA evening ? Great job, guys. Thanks. Oh, God. He's just trolling you right from the get-go. How does it feel?
Yeah, I think, let's see. What do I have? Do I have him in the rotation today?
Have we ever timed out somebody for a super chat? Is that a thing we've ever done?
So, by the way, also in my mention, is Andrew Wiggins is on the injury report now for the Warriors. I don't think he's going to end up playing. But Juan Toscano-Anderson, I have him in for, I have him projected for 12 fantasy points today. It would be a career high for him. Not enough for me to get to him, but good for him if he's able to reach such heights.
Oh, such is life. I love this. Kuminga, that's kind of weird he's up to now, 4,900. That's still probably something doable. Again, having a lot of late exposure to some of that situation, because those Golden State guys are going to look a lot different if you don't have Andrew Wiggins. You can kind of mix and match. I'm already organically getting to a lot of late exposure with this Utah situation, so I'm not trying to force anything specific the way that I normally might, but for sure, just be on the lookout for that. That would change the landscape of some of that value quite a bit. Not that you can't take shots. Gary Payton. Can we talk Gary Payton over on FanDuel? Isn't he 3,700 over there today? 3,600. That's even. Oh man, that's a freaky kind of guy for me. I think I would be, if I were playing more on FanDuel, have a lot of that guy.
Let's see, where am I? I like Gary Payton today.
Yeah.
So actually, Gary Payton is somebody who, let's see, what is his projected ownership at on FanDuel? I'm going to refresh the page to make sure I'm looking at the most recent run. So Gary Payton, I logged myself out, so that's going to be problematic. And I'm back in. All right, so Gary Payton, most recent run of ownership on FanDuel is projected now for 37% ownership. I started to like him on a points per dollar basis, and he is one of my most rostered value plays, but I'm underweight to that number. Maybe if Wiggins is out, which I think is fairly likely, that would cause me to change a little bit. But the ownership's already there. It's hard to say I'm going to play 70% of Gary Payton.
Brian C 1809. Hey, fellas, first time, long time. Yeah, I've seen you around. Don't kid yourself. Y'all drink tonight, or being a couple of goobers? I don't really know if being drinking or not drinking is going to make you a goober. Oh, there we go. That's the news I was waiting for FanDuel before I put those lineups in. Gary Trent Jr. will play Friday. Precious Achiuwa was going to be a thing for me. Now confirmed not a thing. Also, simultaneously, Seth Curry ruled out. So that's something to kind of discuss here as well. Good thing we're here on the guard position. Thank you, News God. Just always keeping me apprised of everything here in Slack. Oh, wait, Max Strus ruled out now here too. So a lot of things kind of coming through. It says listed probable. Wait,
where did you see Max Strus? Where did you see he was ruled out?
Awesemo on the NBA account. I just got that from News God. He sent it to me. So I mean,
he got mad at me the last time I dove into one of these.
Yeah, so let's not do that. I think Max Strus is just fine right now. I haven't seen anywhere else. I've got a number of other things that I'm looking at here. He looks just fine. Seth Curry is ruled out, though. Gary Trent will play. So let's start with Gary Trent. I really don't want to do anything other than take shots on those ceilings. Scotty Barnes, you could play over on FanDuel. Precious Achiuwa, I was going to play at 4,500.
We just got the Sixers starting lineup, by the way.
Oh, my. Hi, Isaiah Joe. How are you this fine evening?
Isaiah Joe and Furkan Korkmaz.
Why? Why?
To which part?
I just Isaiah Joe. Hey, Joe, where you going with that gun?
Yeah, so I mean, who else? I mean, they started Charlie Brown last game.
They did.
They don't have other guys to start. This team is Joel Embiid and nobody else. Tobias Harris, no good this year.
No good.
Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. They just don't have other good players to play. If the question is why Isaiah Joe, the other part of it is why anybody. Yeah. There's no player you could plug in there. So you go, oh really? George Niang? Oh, Isaiah Joe?
Hey, easy. Iowa State, George Niang. Just easy over there. Easy. But yes, Furkan Korkmaz, 4,100 over on DraftKings. We want to play that, don't we?
Let's see. So Furkan Korkmaz in starts this year. My computer's running a little slow today.
Mine is too. Right. It's 11 gamer. I think that when you have a bunch of Cruncher open on different sites, it's going to do that.
All right. So we've got from Furkan Korkmaz this year. He has made 13 starts. In those starts, 31 and a half minutes per game, 24 fantasy points. Although a lot of those games also, they had other dudes available. There's going to be no Curry. There's no Milton. There's no Danny Green. There's no Thibault. We've seen some of those games where Korkmaz starts and just plays like 40 minutes. This could be one of those games.
I'm very, very interested by this. And I mean, I will also say I'm interested in Tyrese Maxey a lot more than I was before too. I think he was already projected for 36 minutes. I mean, there's upwards of 40 minutes in store for him here in this spot. I mean, Isaiah Joe's the flat minute 3K. I don't know how much I want to go nuts with that. I mean, we've seen some spots where he played 21, 25 minutes there in the box score. He had a start in the preseason, hasn't started a game. This is his first start, I believe, since February. What is that? 2021, January 2021. So it's been almost just over a year, I guess, since he started a game in the NBA in the regular season. So I don't really know what to make of his minutes. But I can tell you one thing, Tyrese Maxey is going to play near 40. Furkan Korkmaz should play mid-30s, I would think. I mean, this is a drastic difference when you take Seth Curry and his 35 projected minutes off the floor.
Yeah, and I'm also pulling up Isaiah Joe's rates. It's going to be tough for me to really project him well or get behind him at any kind of massive clip. If you get some exposure to him over the course of a lot of lineups because he's so cheap, that's all well and good. At the same time, too, 12 minutes per game, 7.5 fantasy points. So let's even give him, if you give him 30 minutes, I mean, then I'm projecting him still for only around 20 fantasy points in those minutes.
All right. We will kind of update everything here as well. I should probably do a read here. We're 22 minutes away. We're going to be talking Yahoo, I know, for a long time, but we got 2 super chats. Thomas Kingston, if Gobert is out, who is the Jazz best play at forward? Love the show. I mean, it's weird to say, but I have a feeling it would, unless you got Pascal in the starting lineup, he will play minutes, but I don't think I want to play him unless he's starting. Royce O'Neal ends up playing some 5 there. He's 4,600. He's already gaining some attention. So I don't know if I want to play like a 25% on Royce O'Neal, but I don't know if that news comes out later, if it gets to that point. Rudy Gay would be the guy who would come out of nowhere to probably play mid to upper 20s minutes. He's 4,300. More of just a late night dart for me, but anybody that would really benefit for you from the Utah side if Rudy Gobert sits.
It's still a lot of the guys that already benefit though. And I'm trying to figure out, we had a game not too long ago where Whiteside and Gobert were both out, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just trying to pull that game up and find what the minutes were from that one. The one on the 5th. Yeah. Okay. So here's the game. So game against the Denver Nuggets, the Utah Jazz played a game with no Hassan Whiteside, no Rudy Gobert. They had Donovan Mitchell there, but beggars can't be choosers. We just have to kind of ride with this situation being what it is. Rudy Gay played 29 minutes. and Udoka Azubuike played 15 and a half minutes. Eric Pascal played 13 minutes. Considering that information, it would be really hard for me to not like Rudy Gay if Rudy Gobert is ruled out. And as is, Rudy Gay is not somebody I really have all that much interest in now, because those other guys we talked about as forwards on the Jazz, like I'm already going to like Bojan Bogdanovic, regardless of whether Gobert plays or not. Rudy Gay is the individual play that I would be given the biggest upgrade to.
All right, Brad Kaufman, Embiid or Joker? That's simple enough. Joker for me. Yeah,
that is Jokic. With that said, though, the usage for Embiid is absolutely insane as of late. He is averaging
55.6% last game is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
So we look at, and the thing about Embiid is the scoring is going to be better than Jokic's, but it's the totality of Jokic's game. We're adding the assist and the rebounding as well, which is going to make him somebody who I've projected higher than Joel Embiid. With that said, we look at the last 2 weeks of games from Joel Embiid, 41% usage rate. He is shooting so many shots. You could basically almost lock this guy in for 30 plus points every night at this point, because it's just what he does. Since December 26th, how many games do you think he scored less than 31 points?
I'm going to say like one.
It's been one. It was a game where he scored 25 points against the Celtics, because it was a game where it was a blowout and the Celtics didn't play their starters in the fourth quarter and Embiid didn't have to finish, or else he would have hit that mark also. This dude scores 31 plus points basically every single night.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And
the answer is still Jokic.
All of that to get back to the original deal. Michael McKinney, who are the 3 must-play values picks on FanDuel for today?
3 must-play?
Yeah, I mean, what is
3 must-play value picks
over there? Yeah.
All right. So we're just considering, I guess, the 3 best plays on FanDuel sub 5,000, I guess. Do we want to say that's the number?
Let's do it. Value picks 5K. I mean, Cade Cunningham's 5,200. I'm going to just start with him. Anything underneath him.
Joe Ingles.
Love it.
Gary Payton.
Yep.
Now I have to scroll. We didn't mention, I like Monty Morris as a contrarian play if I want to bring up somebody who isn't going to be super popular and cheap.
Yeah, you look great in the last game. Shout out Iowa State once more. But yeah, Monty Morris, give me the case for him.
So, I mean, the case for him is that Denver. So here's first I'll give you the case against him, right? Because this is always the way to start an argument is you go, here's why I disagree with what I just said. The case against him is that they just traded for Bryn Forbes, and Bryn Forbes is going to be in the rotation. Now, that's not massively inhibiting. I don't think Bryn Forbes is going to play a big role right off the bat. The case for him is that this team massively sucks outside of Jokic this year, and Monty Morris is actually playing well now, and they just don't have other good players. And I think a lot of those Forbes minutes are just going to come from somebody like Campazzo. I don't think they're going to cut Monty Morris minutes, given how well he's played recently. Last game, 45 minutes, nearly had a triple-double. Then you talk about the game before, he played 30 minutes, he had 13 points and 6 rebounds. I think Monty Morris has played well enough, and this team is so lacking in depth and just players that don't suck, that Monty Morris is going to continue to play 30 plus minutes, and he's really cheap and he's unowned.
Yeah, I think all of that is more than fair. No doubt about it. Let's keep it rolling, guys. Let's talk. Well, we need to get to the forward spot. We got 17 minutes to go. I'm going to fly through this. Get access to Awesemo Plus tools and content. $29.95 for the weekly pass. Do you want to see the best content? I bet you do. I bet you want to see the best player projections, ownership projections, boom bust tool, lineup builder, everything we're using to help us build winning lineups. You can have too for just $29.95 per month. Stop guessing, start winning. Join us at Awesemo Plus today. And what's the best way to join Awesemo Plus? It's this. Signing up at Yahoo. If you have not yet played at Yahoo, our sponsor here of the Live Before Lock show, of Deeper Dive, so much of the time, we just appreciate them and love working with them so much. Why? Because they actually have contests we believe in, the lowest rake around the entire industry. And if you sign up right now and play in any of those, deposit $10 or more and play in any of the paid contests, you'll get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum completely free. That's $90 value. And we have a huge weekend coming up. We have PGA Showdown. We have MMA with a pay-per-view action going. You want to be checking it out for that content. You'll get all of the player projections, the top fighters tool. I can't tell you how helpful that can be. Of course, NFL. I should probably leave with that. Best NFL contest over at Yahoo, period. It is as good as it gets playing over there, getting their no rate contest. They have positive overlay contests going nonstop. Stop guessing, start winning. Join us at Awesemo Plus, but do it through this promotion at Yahoo. Thank you so much to them for being sponsors and partners here. Excited to talk about their product for the half hour. I'm excited to be playing over there today, and I know you should be too, because once again, I like paying less rake, and if you do too, play over at Yahoo. All right, let's go to the forward spot to the top end over there, Greg. We have Aldridge Revenge Narrative, $1.99. I just wanted to touch on that Brooklyn news that we got. Nicholas Claxton's out. I feel like everybody's price is about appropriate for the situation. Kessler Edwards is somebody who's randomly getting a tiny bit of rostership there, but LaMarcus Aldridge played fantastic. No doubt about it last game. 32 minutes off the bench. LaMarcus Aldridge here, 5,200. Any interest there whatsoever?
Yes, but all right. So this is going to be, I know this isn't going to be the answer to the question he's looking for. Play LaMarcus Aldridge because Nick Claxton is out and Aldridge is going to play big minutes with increased, particularly if Aldridge comes off the bench. He's going to have his minutes staggered a little bit from Harden and Irving. And we've seen all year from Aldridge, better fantasy producer off the bench and in the starting lineup. That aside, though, you're playing LaMarcus Aldridge here because he's playing extended minutes and the Nets now have slightly less guys in the front court. Paul Millsap exiled from the team. They're looking for him to go somewhere else where he could actually get playing time. That opportunity doesn't exist anymore. Paul Millsap isn't good. They're not going to find that. There's no Kevin Durant. There's no Nick Claxton. So there's playing time available in the front court. That's why we're rostering Nick Claxton today. I don't really care he's playing against his former team, but I project him well because of the situation with Claxton out.
All right, Jeff Williams, any THT love on DK with Russell playing so bad? Russell is playing very bad, but no THT love.
You know who else is playing bad? THT.
Iowa State, watch your mouth. Everybody, you're bringing up Iowa State. It's crazy. Adam Palmer, THT question mark. Yeah, that answered that too. Quack, quack. We're back on schedule. See? Whew. I can talk fast like Adam. Look at me. Well, not Adam yesterday. That's for sure. Forward spot, Joe Ingles, 31% rostered over on DK on our last run, 4,200 for him. John Concher, he's 4,300, 19.3% here. Jaren Jackson Jr., 6,300. Tags starting to come down, which, you know, as long as he keeps his hands to himself, he's going to be out there. He even got in foul trouble last time against Milwaukee. Didn't matter. Nearly put up a 50 burger. Who at the most rostered area of forward are you getting to the most?
I mean, I guess we could talk about Joe Ingles again, but we talked about him at guard also. Yeah. I think Joe Ingles is a really strong play today. I know that there's a lot of people that don't like Joe Ingles because he's not a great fantasy producer, but that kind of goes out the window when you get these guys out for the Utah Jazz, in particular Donovan Mitchell. Just going back to the last game where, once again, Joe Ingles, was he outstanding from a points per minute fantasy perspective? Not really, but he started, he played a bunch of minutes, he scores 28 fantasy points. And if you're going to get that amount of fantasy points at this price point, he's valuable. So I like Joe Ingles, even though he's going to be popular. You should be playing him in cash today. Let's see, other forwards, who are the ones that I currently have some of the most exposure to outside of Ingles. We talked about Max Strus. We've confirmed that Strus is playing, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Loot News guy. Just, you know, it was something that I think you've seen something.
I'm just making sure.
Yep, double checking. Yeah,
nobody get mad at me. All right, so Max Strus also has forward eligibility. Talked about him as a low-owned guard before. I think this is a good bounce back spot for Jonathan Kuminga. Everybody is off of Kuminga now. We saw Kuminga was the chalk of yesterday's slate. He was, I don't remember his exact ownership off the top of my head, but he was something like 54% owned in contests on DK. He didn't play well yesterday. He ended up getting limited minutes, and he sucked yesterday. He was okay points per minute fantasy. Real life, he couldn't guard anybody. The Warriors lost to a terrible, terrible Pacers team. Kuminga sucked when he was on the court. The Warriors weren't able to play him in that game, and it was very justified. But realistically, the scenario today with Kuminga is not massively different than what it was yesterday. Draymond Green is still out. Otto Porter's out. There's no Klay Thompson today. So there's a lot of players here who are missing for the Golden State Warriors. Let me read off the Warriors' entire injury report. It is, Otto Porter's back, but there's still Andre Iguodala's resting. Draymond Green's out. Klay Thompson's resting. And we've got Andrew Wiggins questionable. And I don't think he's ultimately going to end up playing. So if you like Jonathan Kuminga yesterday, there's no reason you shouldn't like him today. It's the exact same situation against the same exact kind of crappy team where there's somewhat likely chance for there being a blowout.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me twice to target the late night hammer and then kind of build my lineups from there. I think it's just fine to be getting to him there. I mean, the main piece that's different is that it's a 11-game slate instead of a 3-game slate. And so the need to play a guy like Kuminga, he doesn't stand out as much value-wise, but what comes with that? Low ownership. So we got to be looking at him sub 5K so long as he's still starting. I assume that they're going to just keep starting him here too. That's what Steve Kerr said he was going to do. And coaches never lie. So we're going to be looking at Jonathan Kuminga. Plus, again, it would take something really wonky not to know exactly what to do with that. I want to have as much flexibility getting into that late night hammer as possible, specifically that Utah game, which starts an hour earlier, but we kind of discussed that a little bit already. We also discussed Bogdanovich. I said Rudy Gay is somebody that if you get no Rudy Gobert, you can play Rudy Gay, and that's probably an all right thing to do. Rest of this grouping, Franz Wagner. I mean, he's a little bit cheaper than he was before, 5,300 for this guy, and I think he's still going to play mid 30s minutes. There's a lot of upside maybe there. If I'm going to take some shots, maybe small forward only there, 32 and a half minutes we're projecting him for. Looking at some of these like mid-range small forward, power forwards, anybody that you're getting to in a meaningful amount.
Yeah, Wagner's certainly one of them for me. The other one also is Bojan Bogdanovic, who the field is not really rostering all that frequently. He's at sub 20% ownership. I think he makes sense. Similarly as Wagner, I have him and Bogdanovic projected kind of similar. Bogdanovic a little bit better, but he's also a little bit more expensive. So points per dollar, I have them similarly. Same ownership, and I'm a little bit over 20% on both of them. So the two of them, I think, are kind of those mid-range type ownership guys that are worth being a little bit overweight too.
All right, Sean Raza, any Garrison Matthews love for FanDuel GPP? Thank you so much for the super chat.
I'm almost positive the answer to that is no, but let me check where I have him.
Yeah,
the answer is no for you, I assume.
No, it's a definite no. He's 3,700, a different slate on a different timeline than the one we're living
honestly,
in.
It would probably still be a no. Like 1 game slate, I'd think about it, but not for not for 11 games. He played 29 and a half minutes yesterday. We have to look at that as an outlier, though. Typically, his minutes are in the low 20s / high teens. So I think we see those minutes go back. Garrison Matthews just shot the ball really well last game. So if we're going to get to a point where he's going to make all of the threes he takes, yeah, he's going to get extended minutes. He's probably not going to again, though.
Yeah, shout out Joey Corman, who's definitely going to be rostering some Garrison Matthews tonight in Showdown. Shout out our boy. So there's that. We have another one. I Am God TV, $5. Ooh, fancy. Thank you so much. FanDuel GPP. I have $8K left for a power forward. What's my best pick? Well, luckily you're asking the right guy here in Greg Ehrenberg. I'm looking over here as well, just to kind of give my tiny little 2 cents here. 8K. I mean, Christian Wood's there, 7,800. Jaren Jackson's pretty expensive there, 7,800. But your best play, it's Bam Adebayo. Yeah, he's not going to see his assist rate anywhere close to what it's like with Jimmy Butler on the floor. But my God, he went nuts in the stocks department. He's going to be out there boarding. He's going to be playing lots of minutes for this Heat team. Low 30s minutes. That's good enough for me. 7,700. What say you, Greg?
Yeah, it's Bam Adebayo. And the other thing, too, when you consider Bam Adebayo is coming back from an injury. It was a thumb injury. He had thumb surgery and he came back. Like, there's no reason to think that because he had a thumb injury that they need to be careful with him or limit his minutes. Totally different scenario than when you have a knee injury. So we saw Bam Adebayo right off the bat jump right in and play the same minutes he was basically playing before. 32 minutes in each of the last 2 games. We should expect more of the same for Bam Adebayo. And he was priced over 8,000 right before getting injured. None of that should have changed. And there's also no Kyle Lowry. There's no Tyler Hero. So there's extra usage going towards Bam Adebayo, and his price is down. Bam Adebayo for me there. I like him a lot.
Yep, I'm with you. Somebody that I didn't really know how to assess it. I think it's going to be pretty secure going forward. He's going to have the same minutes allotment. And again, no Jimmy Butler on the floor is better, but this is going to be just fine to roster him there. So thank you so much for the super chat. Marcus Morris or Scotty Barnes on FanDuel. That's going to definitely, I'll ask Greg here in a second. I want to finish out the forward position here first, though. I'm looking at Tobias Harris now. He's somebody that at 6,900 on DraftKings, I'm starting to get to a lot more. I just refreshed ownership, 22.7% for him. You said he's been bad. I agree. It hasn't been pretty, but I still find it hard to get away from any of these Sixers now. I think it's a really strong piece of value here on this slate. I know it's the early window and not my favorite thing to do, but how do you look at Tobias Harris? And if you want to touch on Korkmaz as well, go right ahead.
I'd rather roster Korkmaz than I would Tobias Harris. So Harris, I still think the price is about fair on him because it's not like we've typically seen massive amounts of usage go to him in these kind of situations. Maybe he just plays a whole bunch of minutes because they have no other options to go to. Let me see. Maybe I haven't given him enough minutes. Let's see some recent games for Tobias Harris. What's a realistic upside for his playing time?
I mean, he can play short of 40.
Yeah, you know what? I could get on board with Tobias Harris. I'm going to give him more minutes because look at the games. And here's something I think put too much stock into. Last game he played, last two games, 25 and 35 minutes. Those games were not remotely competitive. You go back to the games before that, 42 against the Heat, 39 against the Boston Celtics. I actually feel like I'd given Tobias Harris 34 minutes. I'm going to give him like 38 now, and then I'm going to like him a lot.
All right, Embiid, Korkmaz, or Kyrie Aldridge on DK?
Embiid, Korkmaz, or Kyrie Aldridge? Embiid and Korkmaz.
Awesome. We're going to jump over to center. But before we do, Tyler, I did say I'd answer. Marcus Morris or Scotty Barnes on FanDuel for you, Greg?
Scotty Barnes and who?
Scotty Barnes and Marcus Morris. Pick one.
Scotty Barnes.
All right, beautiful. Same here. All right, center position, Nikola Jokic. He seems really good. He's projected for lots of fantasy points like he normally is. Joel Embiid's also on that top tier of player. But Rudy Gobert, I don't know what's going to happen with Rudy Gobert, but I'm willing to roster a bunch of him. And if I need to swap into some 5 p.m. Pascal Siakam or, bounce it around to some Nurk or do whatever else I need to do based on this news, I don't know when it's going to come out. All I know is that I could have a really low-owned Rudy Gobert sub 9K over on DK in the event that he plays. I think we're both in agreement that there's a chance that he doesn't, or maybe greater than 50%, but I still want to have a bunch of him just waiting in the wings. How about you, Greg?
No, I don't think he's going to play. And I guess this situation is different than yesterday, but I took a really hard stand on yesterday's slate saying that there would be no Malcolm Brogdon or Karis LeVert in the lineup. I'm not going to take quite the same stand with Rudy Gobert because yesterday I was just loading up on guys like Jeremy Lamb, Chris Duarte, O'Shea Brissett, just anybody that was a warm body for the Pacers I thought was going to play extended minutes. I was jamming them into my lineups yesterday. I don't feel quite the same amount of confidence that Rudy Gobert doesn't play, but I think it's like 85, 90% chance he isn't going to be in the lineup. And the other issue too is if he does get ruled out, it's hard. It's going to be hard to swap because this game starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and there aren't late West Coast games today. There's only one 10 o'clock game. So you got 2 9 o'clock games, including the Utah Jazz game. It's going to be really hard to get from Gobert up to Jokic. So my preference is to not have Rudy Gobert in the player pool right now.
All righty. I'm going to have an allotment same way that I did yesterday, where I was happy to burn a little bit. I found ways to only leave about $800,000 on the table in some of those lineups.
800,000? That's what you just said was 800.
800 to 1,000. I'm just thinking out loud here. Again, we've got 3 minutes to go. Haste. Mo Bamba, God forbid he does what he did last time to Greg and I. But guess what else? He didn't matter on the last slate because he had Nikola Jokic, who I had way more of, and he went for 93, which is very, very useful. How do you feel about Nikola Jokic and his ceiling on this slate? And then, of course, any other centers you really want to touch on before we head over to Yahoo and flip over to the half hour with them?
If you have the salary space, pay up for him. I have him projected for so many more fantasy points than anybody else today, which is the case on every single Nikola Jokic slate pretty much. Let's see, who do I have the second most fantasy points today? So I have Jokic number 1. Number 2 is Giannis. And the gap between Jokic and Giannis for me is 6 fantasy points. Fairly significant. If you have the salary cap space to pay up for anybody, you're going to Jokic. I wouldn't say that you need to play him in like 40% of your lineups or anything like that, considering the size of this slate. But I do like that he's sub 10% owned right now on DK. On FanDuel, Jokic is projected for a little under 20%. I think both those numbers are worth being overweight too.
All right. Anybody else here at center? And again, we are sitting around. We have three games that are locking here now. There's so much other pieces of news to talk about. This is not like the other nights. Stick around. We'll give you plenty of analysis here on any position you guys want to talk about. And of course, we'll go position by position on Yahoo like we always do on this after show. But center, I mean, it's Embiid. It's a lot of Gobert, just 25%. I capped him there. But Nikola Jokic, 25%. 25% of Gobert, I would assume, is going to be about 5x the field in the event he plays. I'm willing to burn those lineups into oblivion. Kevon Looney, which sounds really stupid to say out loud now that I just said it. I need to kind of disappear with a little bit of that. Bam Adebayo, 12.5% I'm getting to. Lots of different options here. Anybody else that you want to round out the position with?
Yeah, and I promise this isn't for trolling purposes, but we should be rostering Mo Bamba today. But I mean, I think you'd have to agree at this point with him as a tournament option, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, Wendell Carter is going to come in, but it's like backup.
Wendell, a couple of things. Wendell Carter, number one, is playing limited minutes. Number two, also, it's not like Mo Bamba typically goes out and plays 36 minutes.
True.
We're talking about a guy who's a very good points per minute fantasy producer that plays minutes in the upper 20s most day, and he's just going to play his normal minutes now. We've seen him alongside Wendell Carter for basically the entire season. As a starter, Mo Bamba averages 30 fantasy points with the upside for a lot more because his ceiling is so high. There are these games, particularly on FanDuel, where he could just go out and block a bunch of shots and the defensive stats really matter. So I really do like getting to Mo Bamba here.
Mo Bamba, more problems. Well, I got a little bit, and a little bit is all I'm going to have because that game just locked. We are at lock. Congratulations to everybody. If you got your lineups in like me, I'm proud of myself. Just giving myself a cookie there. Let's talk a little bit of Yahoo because I'm excited to be playing over there. I've talked about all of the reasons why. First of all, let's flash it up on the screen one more time, Tyler. If you haven't played over there yet, get over there now. Play over at Yahoo. Because you get one free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, $10 or more. You just deposit it. You play in any paid contest. That's the quarter, the dollar. You could play in any of their dozens and dozens of amazing football contests for this weekend. Anything you want, play it. You will get that free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum as a new user. It doesn't get any easier or better than that. Sign up now. You have nothing to be waiting for. Lowest management fee. That is rake. That is more money back into your pocket. Less money that's going towards the site. So Yahoo, very player friendly, very helpful. And they've got some massive prize pools, 100K up top for a lot of these massive NFL contests that we're looking at here for the weekend, as well as amazing NBA contests like 15K, 25K to first. You want to be there. We got the starting lineup here as well for the Heat. We got Butler, Vincent, Robinson, Tucker, Adebayo. Max Strus not in it. You weren't expecting Max Strus to start that way.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So just wanted to touch on that. Let's jump over position by position. Also, we'll be able to look at a little bit of the ownership here on some of the other sites because I think I want to know Korkmaz's ownership in the $15 over on DK. That's going to be very fascinating to look at. Just got so much of that dude here today. That's going to be really the only piece of early value I'm sweating hard, but I know a lot of Orlando pieces people are going to have interest in as well. Looking at the guard position here, Kyrie Irving really sticks out at the just anywhere. $37 for him. I think you're looking at Steph Curry, $39. That's cheaper than Morant. Trae Young is up to $45. DeJounte Murray, $47, and Harden, $50. I mean, those guys are on another stratosphere. I'm going to just take a little bit of a rostership off the top by not rostering a 28.4% roster Ja Morant, and I'm jumping down to Steph Curry, who's 26%. It's slight difference, but Kyrie Irving for sure. Give me all of that at 37. What stands out to you at the top end of guard, Greg?
Yeah, so I totally agree with you on Kyrie Irving. So, I mean, I liked him on FanDuel and DraftKings where he had a relatively more expensive price point, but we're talking about Kyrie Irving at $37. And, it's always hard to say what should we expect? What should Kyrie Irving's price be? Because he hasn't played it all this year. But the good news is we did see a little bit of him playing alongside James Harden and Kevin Durant last year. And we could refer back to that Yahoo price and say, okay, what's the fair salary for Kyrie Irving on the Nets? And the answer is upper 40s. And that was with Durant and Harden both there. So he just looks way underpriced. He's the guard I'm getting the most exposure to.
All right. I love it. Let's keep it moving. Anything in this mid-range, there are so many options. It's an 11-game slate. We talk about that all the time where, yes, you should be able to find some spots you really like. I think Mike Conley, this entire Utah situation really stands out. I kind of know where you stood on those guys, a little bit more Conley, a little less Clarkson. I think that's kind of what we've established there. Clarkson, though, is also $21, a little bit cheaper. Mike Conley's $24. Does that pricing difference do anything for you on Yahoo?
Let's see. Mike Conley at point guard. I mean, I liked him a lot on FanDuel and DraftKings. I like him a lot on Yahoo. I mean, I feel like that's about a comparable price, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty close. $24. I mean, you have a $10 floor. You're working a little bit differently. What the major difference you see on Yahoo is these studs are priced to the moon, and you're going to have a lot of like stars and scrubs type slates, but you can really only roster one of those guys, whereas you might be able to get multiple in. Like Nikola Jokic is to the moon there, $57 over on Yahoo. Giannis Antetokounmpo, every single slate over on Yahoo is just crazy expensive as well. Sitting well north of 50 there as well. His power forward, $56 we're looking at there. LeBron, 55. I mean, that is well north of 25% of your cap. Just imagine it if it's $50,000 over on DK, a $10,000 player, that's 20% of your cap. It would be like 12.5. Like Nikola Jokic is the only guy who's comparably priced to DraftKings, like what they would be on Yahoo. And he's still way more expensive on Yahoo.
Also, we got the Atlanta Hawks starting lineup. Trae Young, Herter, Hunter, Collins, Okongwu starting ahead of Clint Capella.
That is weird to me because we got news that Capella was in, but
playing limited minutes. So
limited minutes, yeah.
I think so. I think people might jump at this and say like, "Oh, look, Capella isn't playing," or something along those lines. Here's how I think we should look at it: Okongwu plays 24 minutes, Capella plays 24 minutes. That's my guess.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it. It's not going to be a reserve center or Collins playing some 5 or anything like that. You're basically just going to have that split down the middle. I really have no interest in either. So makes it pretty simple. Back to guard here on Yahoo. We are looking at these cheaper pieces. Now there's a lot of popular Jazz pieces. There's a lot of these guys you can spend up for. Joe Ingles though is $10. He's down there at the floor. Furkan Korkmaz, I ended up playing him in my main Yahoo lineup. He's $11. Shooting guard, both of those guys I think are more than viable at those numbers. But I really do have Gary Payton sitting there and waiting in the wings as well. I want to get confirmation that Wiggins is out, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer. If I have to play Ingles, I'm just fine with that. I'm sitting there in the utility in my main lineup just with Gary Payton II right now. I would like him a little bit more, just to be a little bit lower rostered than Joe Ingles in the event that you have no Andrew Wiggins out there. But who would be your preference of these $10 and $11 players on Yahoo?
It's hard for it to not be Gary Payton, especially like you said. If we do get Andrew Wiggins out, then there'll be a huge boost. But I mean, just looking at the guys who are already out for the Warriors, I project Payton well anyway, with no Andre Iguodala and no Klay Thompson in the mix. So even if there was a situation where Wiggins plays, which I don't think is going to be the case, I would still want to get to Gary Payton. So to me, he's pretty clearly the top cheap guard.
I'm taking a look at ownership here as well now as we move over to forward, but Furkan Korkmaz over under, let's say 30% over on the $15 on DK. Do you think it's over or under?
Under.
It is definitely under 25.53%. Look at you, Mr. Sharp. My boy Terry Rozier, 8.47. That was a guy that I wanted to get to. Tyrese Maxey, sub 7%. That's kind of enticing. Again, you're going to see some low ownership on a lot of these guys, mid-range and higher priced guards, simply because it is a massive slate. So harder for me to look at anything there. I do find a 13% Tobias Harris to be very, very intriguing. We had him projected for just north of 20%. So I think, that wasn't something the field got to nearly as much as what I was expecting. Cole Anthony ended up getting to 17.63%. Obviously, I didn't play Suggs in any lineup over there in the $15. I'm trying to find somebody who has him because I expect him
35% on.
He was 35%. That's a big number.
Not high enough, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't project for mid-30s fantasy points.
Yeah, if you haven't projected for that, you're going to definitely find 35% to be on the low end. Yes, 34.82% there. Anything else that sticks out to you in ownership for the early slate of games?
I just had the tab open, but I closed it. So that was what I was looking for was Suggs ownership, because somebody had said that Suggs was only 8% owned. I was like, that can't be correct. And then I checked and it was 35. But let me look back. 12% for Embiid. That seems about reasonable to me.
Mm-hmm.
PJ
Washington, I feel like I'm clicking on a lot, even though 3.32%, it's not that much. I feel like, I don't know, just maybe it's the lineups that I'm clicking on where that seems to be the ones that are popping up. Shea Gilgeous, sub 4% over in the $15. A lot of these guys. I mean, obviously we can go on and on with a number of these, but wanted to hit the highlights. LeBron James, 8.08%, and Mo Bamba, 13.71%. That's a lot more than I was expecting.
Here's one that's lower. Cole Anthony, 17% owned.
Yeah, I said that one from the get-go. Yeah. I thought that was a little bit low on him.
Yeah.
I said I like to getting to him more than I like getting to Suggs simply for the maneuverability.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people too that like Cole Anthony and like Suggs, but maybe didn't necessarily want to play them in the same lineup.
Oh, hello. Did I just disappear? Did Greg freeze? Am I good? Hello. Well, I'm just kicking here. So, hello, Tyler. All I know is that that's a beautiful face. I am the Dark Lord. I am Greg Ehrenberg. A little bit of that. Something like that. Anyway, we'll see if we can get Greg back here on the line on the Yahoo Hot Takes Hotline. That's what we're here for. Is he back? I just heard something.
I haven't, from my end, I haven't. I don't know if the entire time I was here, I could hear you guys. I just sitting here, I could hear you say Greg's not here, and it's it's the prank you play on the younger brother where everybody pretends he's invisible. Mm-hmm. That's what I felt like. Where he's like, "Where did Greg go?" I'm like, "I'm right here. What do you mean you can't hear me?" To me, I never thought I left.
That was incredible. You're gonna have to go back. That is a great freeze. Tyler? Can we get that in the background? Can we replace my Fro host? I think he needs that on the new mantle. I think that's just like a great bit forever and ever and forever. Oh, also, come on, chat. I need a word for Greg Ehrenberg for Urban Dictionary. Don't get out of control. Okay. I can't have something ridiculous that's just not readable here on the interwebs. We need the Greg Ehrenberg, the NAG word of the day. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we can do that if somebody gives me a good Urban Dictionary word, and I'm just going to do it based on
your favorite.
Whatever word sounds funny.
I like that. On Yahoo, John Concher, he is $12 that we're looking for him. That is a low number. Tobias Harris, he locked already. He didn't end up nearly as popular as what I was expecting around the industry. Bojan Bogdanovic, $21. Royce O'Neal, $14. I think Royce O'Neal becomes very appealing if you have no Rudy Gobert out there. $14 for a Royce O'Neal. Does that sound appeasing to you on Yahoo in the event that Gobert does not play, Greg?
So what's the price on Rudy Gay?
Rudy Gay, again, I love where your head's at here.
Well, I'd rather play Rudy Gay. I'd rather play Rudy Gay.
No, $12.
Yeah, I'd rather play Rudy Gay.
I like that. Again, I think Rudy Gay becomes an awesome tournament play if you have no Gobert. No questions. So fire that up at will, pretty much at will. There's going to be no rostership there whatsoever. And that's kind of what I'm assuming. Steph Curry, well, why would that come up?
Mo Bamba picked up a personal foul 20 seconds into the game.
Let's go. I'm
your mortal enemy.
I have like two. I said I had like a share or two. I have like a share or two. That's literally what I'm doing. Let's go. Just hack a whoever. I don't really care. Just get in foul trouble. Let's see. Yahoo. Marcus Morris. He's already a lock. I'm looking at some of these other guys that I have some exposure to over here on Yahoo. Kessler Edwards is $10. Now, there's a number of these $10 players. We have $12 players here. Rudy Gobert, we talked about. Joe Ingles is somebody that, or Rudy Gobert, Rudy Gay, we talked about. A lot of $10 players that I think have some viability, and I would put Kessler Edwards near the top of it, but I don't really want to go too nuts with it here. You do have strict positionality where it's small forward, power forward. You don't have any player that can play outside of their position. You do have a guard, forward, and center spot, just like you do over on DK. But what are we kind of looking at doing with a popular Kessler Edwards on Yahoo?
Let's see. Have we popular Kessler Edwards? What are we projecting for him in terms of ownership right
16.8%. My whole point is that I wanted to look at Jonathan Kuminga, $12. That's kind of what I'm going for. Oh my God.
I don't have Edwards projected that highly, so I'm pretty cool with getting away from that and going to. I have Kuminga projected higher than Edwards anyway.
Yep.
By a decent margin.
Me too. Just more of a talking point of somebody that I don't like to segue into somebody that I do. And Kuminga at $12. He was super cheap the other night too. He's $12 the last two. I've played him the last two slates. I'm going to play him again this slate. Jonathan Kuminga against Houston. I think he should be just fine here to go back to a normal-ish allotment of minutes and hope that yesterday was an outlier. Then again, I would have said the same thing about Indiana. Like, how does he possibly fail at that number yesterday? Well, he did. So such is life. Anybody else that you want to discuss here at the forward spot? And we will go to center. We'll react to the games as they're ongoing because that's what we normally do on the show, Greg.
Yeah, and I do have, as people have probably picked up by now, because I just said that Bamba picked up a foul. I just watched Jalen Suggs knock down a jump shot, and almost immediately. An offensive foul on Westbrook at the other end, or Ariza, I couldn't really tell. But anyway, I have the Wizards-Lakers game here as Frank Vogel tries to not lose this game and get fired. Other forwards. If we have the ability, but Kuminga, by the way, by far my favorite play on Yahoo today, all things considered at the forward spot. Other guys to look at here, DeMar DeRozan, we still have the Bulls a little bit shorthanded. I think he makes a lot of sense at $38. Giannis makes sense at $56. I prefer him at Yahoo compared to where I would have liked to have had him on FanDuel or DraftKings. So those are two power forwards I really like. But yeah, I really, really do like Kuminga a lot at $12. He's being slept on after what happened yesterday.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. Again, 11 gamer, lots of pieces. Don't sleep on this Washington value either. I mean, that feels like it happened 14 hours ago now, in between everybody giving me the Orlando lineup down my throat. And then between me just trying to react to news as it's coming in. Because again, that's what we're here to help you do, is react to a bunch of news and give you the best analysis possible. I'm looking at Washington as a team that might get slept on for a little bit of value here. We have 45 minutes until that game starts, and we still don't have a starting lineup there. You're going to get them pretty under rostered. So that's going to be a spot that I'm looking at whoever starts there being able to jam whomever. And I think I'm probably going to have some interest in Deni Avdija no matter what. I'm kind of coming to that conclusion. What is his tag over on Yahoo? Deni, I'm assuming he's $10. Sure, yes, he is. $10.
He is $10.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I'm gonna get some Deni Avdija no matter what over on Yahoo, I think.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And that game starts. Yeah, we still got 44 minutes until that game starts. So that's not how would you feel about Deni if he comes off the bench though?
Yeah, I don't care. I think he's probably I would probably play him at $10 either way at the Flatman. I think it's a little bit different. I mean, he's sub 4K over on DK as well. So I'm looking at Deni as somebody that you're probably okay getting to no matter what, just because I don't project Rui, even in a starting spot, to be playing like 25, 26 minutes. I think Deni would definitely get to, 24, 26 minutes no matter what. And if he starts, there's upwards of 30 in store for him.
Yeah, I'll bring up his box scores this year from his starts. So in games that Deni has started this year, he is averaging 28 and a half minutes per game. And they didn't have Rui for any of those games. That actually makes me like Deni less.
They have no Kyle Kuzma today, who plays like 40 minutes. So that's
but they have Rui now, and they have extra big men to play. Remember, they had no Thomas Bryant at one point. Yeah. They're missing Daniel Gafford for a while. So it's still a situation with Bamba, a little over enthusiastic after making 7 threes last game. Took a step back 3 that went poorly. But I think looking at just overall minutes for Deni as a starter this year, I'm lower on him.
Okay. I'm at $10. I'm okay doing it.
I'm not going to say he's unplayable at $10. Low priority though, especially when Kuminga's 12.
All right. Yeah. We got from News God. Yeah. Bryn Forbes is going to play. I'd seen that a little bit earlier in the day that Bryn Forbes was going to be jumping in there. Do we have I guess that's only when you're hosting that we have the play of the day in that regard.
Yeah. And I mean, we're already past lock at this point.
I know, but it just would have been fun anyway. It's all right. Whatever. Did we find the word?
No, I don't think people are as interested. I think it has to be more organic. I think we tried to force it here.
I'm sad about that.
If something comes up in pop culture, I think that's something that would work. But I can't force it. And then if people aren't going to answer, what are we going to do? We're going to make them answer an Urban Dictionary word of the day. If there's one that people are really interested in that they want me to read, we could. But I don't want to kill the bit just by trying to replicate the magic of yesterday.
What are you saying? Westy's going sicko mode. What's Westy at? I don't know what he's at. So you have lots of fantasy points, and then we're all missing out. I think we'll be okay.
7,200 for him on FanDuel today. Did you play him at all at 7,200 on FanDuel?
No. Furky. Yeah, Furky's not having fun right now. Who did I play on FanDuel? Who did you ask?
No, I said, did you play Westbrook at all? It's 7,200 on FanDuel.
No, that's specifically why I didn't, because I'm sick of burning money with that idiot. So I only played like a handful of lineups over there just to keep it entertaining. I did not play him.
All right. So 4 minutes. He has 2 points, 2 rebounds, an assist, and 2 steals. That's 7,200. It's gonna be really dumb. One of these slates for Westbrook, but he's also not popular on FanDuel today. But there's going to be one of these slates where he's going to have a good game. It's just been so long now. To reiterate points the other day when we were talking about Russell Westbrook, so Russell Westbrook last game chalk play finished with 23 fantasy points. He has not scored over 40 fantasy points since December 31st. It's not like 40 fantasy points that high of a bar either.
Not great, Bob. Not great.
Nope. Russell Westbrook, who got benched last game, and it appears the Lakers are desperate to move him.
How? How do you move him? Like how? Who's going to pick that up?
The Rockets for John Wall. They've already been traded for each other once.
Just do it again. Round 2.
Why not?
Why not? Anything is better than Russell Westbrook probably for the Lakers, and anything's probably better for Russell Westbrook from a fantasy perspective, or close to it, I would assume, just as long as he's on the floor. Would he crack the rotation at guard for Milwaukee? Yeah, maybe. No, I wouldn't play him.
You know what's the weirdest stat line so far?
Who?
Cole Anthony in 4 minutes has 2 blocks, 1 rebound, and 1 turnover.
It's kind of weird from a ball dominant guard, that's for sure. That's a fascinating one.
Jalen Suggs off to a good start, 2 points, an assist, and a block in 4 minutes.
Of course, like it just was always going to happen. But you know what? My lineups are still live because those roster spots haven't started yet. So at least I can feel
4
better
minutes into the game. It doesn't mean he's going to play well.
Yeah, Niang already in the game here for Furkan Korkmaz. That was a nice 6 minutes there by Cork. Well done, buddy. Thanks for coming for your 0 for 1 stat line here. Way to go.
No fouls, no turnovers, though. At least he's not negative. Tobias Harris putting up the same exact stat line, although he's 0 for 2 from the field. Yeah, 8. I mean, this will happen. When you score 8 real life points as a team in 6 minutes, it's hard to really have a lot of fantasy output.
Or Reggie Jackson, 6 points, assist, and a rebound in the early going as well. He's been playing good. Joel Embiid, of course, just gets to the rack then right off the bat there. Board, layup, foul, and 1. That's going to be a messy situation here. I have a feeling you don't. Yeah, if Philadelphia is playing from behind in this one, Embiid's going to absolutely smash. He's going to smash in this one. Zubac's his second foul. Ooh, that's going to definitely get very, very hairy. Best of luck, Nicholas Batum. Good luck guarding him. Enjoy that experience.
Serge Ibaka is going to come in.
Oh, that's right. There you go.
That's going to go well either, but
that's going to go really poorly. Let's take a look here at Yahoo Roundout Center. Kevon Looney's super popular over there, $12. Remember when I made that face where I was like, wait, I'm getting to a lot of Looney? I was making it when I saw this. He's the most rostered center at $12 over there. Yeah, that's a misprice, but I'm going to find some things to get away from that here as we get closer in the next 8 minutes. We only have 2 games locking, and I think Portland became unplayable here with Nasir Little in there. Miami, we talked about some pieces and some interest you can have there. Atlanta, completely unenticing. Boston, I'm just not getting to either. So not a whole lot for me to change up here. Maybe some slight modifications to the Miami side, but Kevon Looney's popular. Nikola Jokic, 12.6%. I think if you're paying for any stud that's above $50, I think he's the guy I want to go to. But there's some really enticing mid-range center options. Who stands out to you the most, Greg?
Talking about the mid-range, Robert Williams at $25 over on Yahoo. And it's easy to forget because he didn't play for a minute. He was away from the team, but also personal reasons. I believe it was the birth of his son. So it's not like it's something we expect Robert Williams to come back from a couple of games and, the Celtics aren't going to be cautious with his minutes. There's no reason for him to say, like, we have to limit his playing time. He's seen a slight decrease in salary, not that significant, but he was $26 before he left the team. Now he's $25. You look at his recent games, 42 fantasy points, 32, 22. That was one bad game, but then 49, 39, 45, 27, 56. Very, very high upside for him at $25.
Yeah, Carlos Manzo, Greg's picture is pretty fantastic. Freeze frame.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, it's the frozen in time. If I could put time in a bottle. Jim Croce, gone too early. Gone way, way, way too early. Greg Ehrenberg.
Yes.
I guess we have a word. Tyler, do you have the word? The Loco? Did he hit it? You should have just sent it to me, Loco. Send it to me. So then I can
send it to. You have to send it to.
Yeah, send it to Greg. Greg needs to have the word. I would prefer to actually not even know what it is. That would make it extra special. Ooh, Tyler Xander. He sent it to me here.
Let's see.
All right.
There's 2 of them here.
I think it's the same word if we're looking at the same thing.
Okay.
Riveting TV. Here we are. I
This
can keep
isn't
singing.
gonna work
The
as well.
first thing that I'd like to do. Sorry. You got it?
I'm trying to pull it up on Urban Dictionary right now.
Let's go.
This is, by the way, this word. Oh, whoops, wrong filter. That's the injury news filter. That's not the filter I wanted to.
None of that.
No, not
wait,
the
okay.
injury news filter. Whereas it is
Crease
kind of hard.
is the
Oh, here we go.
word. We could have done
There
that
it is.
too.
It is the Urban Dictionary word of the day. We need some intro music for this, or maybe some kind of graphic that pops up. But today's Urban Dictionary word of the day, mardarse. A person that relishes in expressing his or her discomfort vocally or whinges at all times. Quit being such a mardarse, Eric.
What is that? I've never heard of that in my life. A Mardars?
Yeah, that's not a real word, but it does seem like whoever wrote this definition was watching one of our shows. I believe there's a chance of that.
Sounds like Mordor. Mardars. I don't think they're close to each other. By the way, the new Lord of the Rings series looks so bomb. I can't wait. $1 billion. Yeah, just invest a slight $1 billion into something. That should be fun. If it's not the greatest thing ever, I'm going to cry. But here we go. Rest of the center spot on Yahoo. Who stands out to you there as well? You said $25. You liked Robert Williams. Anything else you'd like to discuss? We got 5 minutes left. We can react to some of the games here to round it out, but we want to give Yahoo a little bit more love here. Anything else for center over there?
Center. So LaMarcus Aldridge, same reason we liked him on other sites. He's going to make sense here. Nets going to be a little shorthanded in the front court. He's somebody who has pretty significant upside. Jokic, if we're paying up, that certainly makes sense. Looney is only $12. I know he had a big game yesterday, but realistically, what's the upside of Looney? Also, he only played 28 minutes. That was such a fluke outcome for Looney yesterday. He made almost every single shot he took from the field. He had 15 rebounds in 28 minutes. It certainly helped that he was playing a total garbage team in the Indiana Pacers. The game also went to overtime. He had multiple defensive stats, 3 assists, which I think was probably a career high at him at any level, high school, college, recreational league, elementary school. Kevin Looney, $12, good value play, but don't expect him to replicate anything close to what he did yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not. $12. I'm going to be shying away from that a little bit more here. I'll get to a little, but I'm not going to play him 33% of my lineups. That is just egregious. Finding other paths to go here. Guys, we got 3 minutes left of this show here. We appreciate you guys all hanging out. Smash that like button for Greg, if not for me. You know, I know it's been a tumultuous
No, do it for
week
Tyler.
everybody.
Do it for Tyler shopping.
Yeah, he's crushing the game. Not only that, he's on top of the quack quack sound effect all the time. He's always adding his own little bits and his own little flavor. Might be the best. Yes, there it is. The best producer at Awesemo.
Jordan better not be
Tyler
watching.
Xander. Name Tyler Xander. You never let me finish.
I'm telling you, still Jordan will get sensitive about that.
He will. He'll probably. I'm not going to go there. I love you. I love Jordan Klein. He's my boy.
Yeah, I'll probably be a Mardarse in our group chat.
That's what I was going to get to. I was like, you know, there's those decisions where you can go in the conversation. It's like that car meme where it's like you just exit to the right. I exited right hard. That's what I did there. There was no more going down the path that I was on. Man, 22-11. Clippers are up on Philly. Thanks for coming, Philadelphia. Have a nice day. Clicking back over here, Russ still 4-2-1 with 2 steals. So hasn't really improved upon that here yet, but he's at the free throw line here. Cole Anthony foul. That's Cole Anthony's second. Oh, wait, foul. Did I do it right?
Yeah, you said it right. That's the first time you ever recognize that word doesn't have a W in the middle of it.
You're welcome. I'm maturing on these streams, is what you're seeing. It's like I was baby Groot before, and now I'm going through teenage Groot phase where I act out sometimes and do whatever else. And soon it will be, I am Groot. I'm ready to rock. Do you get that analogy?
Yeah. It's
Fantastic.
Vin Diesel.
Yes.
Vin Diesel does the voice. Yeah.
He does. He really does.
Yeah.
And he's great at it.
By the way, easiest gig ever.
Yeah.
How many take? I mean, I know that he's, not functioning with, all capacities like most of us do, but how many takes does Vin Diesel have to do to do the Groot role? He shows up. Ideally, he shows up. He says, "I am Groot" 3 times. He goes home. He collects his $1 million paycheck. Shows back up at the premiere. What else does he have to do? There's only one line.
It's a pretty good gig. It's a good job if you can get it. I'm just going to throw it out there. Russell Westbrook leading the slate, 17.1 fantasy points over on FanDuel. I mean, what in the flying F? Your boy Josh Giddey up there, LaMelo Ball as well. I would have had a ton at 8,100 if I was playing on FanDuel, but I'm not. Reggie Jackson, 5,700, just going right back to his old stuff here. They are smashing right now, 24-11. I think that only bodes well, though, for anybody with Embiid exposure. Doesn't bode well right now for all of my crappy, and I do mean crappy, exposure to everybody else on that team. Tobias Harris. Oh, welcome to the board. He made a bucket. Oh, he got a steal too. What a time to be alive. Greg, we made it. 90 minutes with me. Always an adventure. I guess 80 minutes today. We let the guys go over because, again, they're only doing us a favor, but we really appreciate Yahoo. Make sure you go sign up over there. Sign up, play there. $10 or more gets you a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Doesn't get any easier or better than that. Greg, any final words for the people?
No, just Eric Johnson. And guess we won't hear about how much Westy sucks tomorrow? Yeah, we probably will. He sucks.
He's terrible at real life basketball. But guess what? Fantasy, that's different sometimes. He's Greg Ehrenberg. He's going to go have a really fun weekend. I'm Eric. It'll be okay. We'll see you guys later.